It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent his messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose, but by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs, to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque, then in the same church, in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. Carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look through our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome everyone to the 270th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, April 4th, 2019. This is the broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, and it's part of the public teachings in English. I'm your host, Rick Crammond, and as usual, we are joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will be presenting today's teaching and information. Okay, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin today's workshop?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these knowledge seekers workshops. We might have some communication problems. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
If I get dropped off, then we go to another system. Last week we had a lot of problem with communication. What I would like to ask now is, uh, are there any questions in respect to any part you have not understood? That by answering your question, we can open new knowledge that it sorts a lot of problems for a lot of people. Or is it too early? Haven't woken up yet?
Well, I have something that comes to mind for me to maybe start things off here, which is we were discussing in the Kesh Plasma Reactor group about going to space. And I thought perhaps you could outline, Mr. Kesh, the ways, the different methods or perspectives on going to space. You've talked about, going to space many times, of course, in the past, and the Kesh Foundation is a space-based organization. And you've talked about going to space in the physicality and also as the in a soul-based a soul basis. So I thought maybe you could outline the different ways that people can choose to go to space or have that, that perspective on the different levels that may be coming up for us that are available now, in fact.
Uh, One of the things to consider when we speak about going to space is, what do we define the space as? And what do we see or what we consider as a space? We take a space in our physical body on this planet, and at the same time, within the structure of our physical body, there is another dimension of life which we call the soul of the man. And even though it lives within the space dimensions of the body of the man, has its own life and has its own line of communication. And what we define space, going to space, we already know the inner sanctum or the creator of our physicality travels the depth of the universe, has been the space travel all the time, has a line of communication with other parts of us, be it through dream we call it, or through subconscious some people they call it, or we have the choice that physically move the physicality with its soul. In a way, we have a bird caged in the physicality of the body of man, and that bird is called the soul of the man. We can open that cage and let it loose at the point of death. When the operation of this cage rots away, and it cannot hold together, and this beautiful bird becomes free. Still, it takes life in the universal dimension because it has a life. It exists on its own. Or we can carry the cage in a box and take it anywhere. I can take a bird cage in the car, I can take a bird cage in my hand and walk around the park. It doesn't change the entity and existence of that bird. It's still a bird, still sings, still communicates with other birds in the park. And this is how our soul is. So we give option. Those who understand the process of the creation can take that cage, that bird, out of the cage and free it, because we trusted it come back in. It's very much when you have a parrot at home, you open the door, you let him fly around the house, and he comes back again and he goes in the cage. Because you trust it. It knows that's where it belongs to. And this is the process that we have made an option to man. The soul of the man is that bird, but is encaged in physicality of body of man. And for the first time, man knows, man can see that it's him who hasn't trusted the bird to be freed. And it has come the time that he does not need to see the cage to break up, to rust, that the bird can fly out, or by accident open the cage's door is open and the bird flies out. That accident is when we die on the street. The bird cage opens up. That bird still gets freed. But now we are teaching how the man has control over this door of the cage. And he trusts that the soul will come back to the body. Or the bird will stay, that it can create that atmosphere of the home, the cage. This is the problem we have, and this is what we call it different ways of traveling. But to be able to free that bird without accident, or when the cage cracks, rust, and we call it death, we are teaching how to be able to control, to trust that that bird, when we release it, can come home, or can make a home that we can go to. When my children were young, 4 or 5 years old, they wanted a bird, a cockatoo. I bought them a cockatoo. And this bird in the cage was very young, few weeks old when we got him. And we used to let it free in the house. He knew he goes back in and he sleeps there and he lays egg there. And it came to the point, because of the diseases carried, we had to, the doctors told us, this bird cannot stay in the house because it's causing problem in the house, health problems. So we decided that we love the bird. We didn't want to let it go, it was part of us. So we decided if we let it free, it will die, because he didn't know how to look after himself, because he was hand fed. We decided we'd take him to a sanctuary, and we give it to a sanctuary to be kept. We carry the cage across a park, and as we were walking to go to the sanctuary in the park to be given to them, an old lady saw us. She says, "Oh, what a beautiful bird." We said, "We have a problem, we love him, but if you leave him here, we don't know if you see him." She says, "I'll look after it, give it to me. You can come and see it anytime you like." And it was just like a gift. So we got the old lady in the car, we went to her house, we put the cage there, we showed them how to look after the bird, and the bird was free again in the room. And every now and then, children said, "Papa, can we go and see him?" So we called the lady, we go and see him, and the bird is there. And it was a new home, it was our home. And this is how the soul of the man should be. Is trusting that where he goes, we can make a home for us. So in this process, we are teaching different ways of freeing the bird, or carrying the cage. The bird is still there. If you want to carry a cage and go somewhere, you get in the car, that's your spaceship. Still the cage is there and the bird inside. The cage is the body of the man and the bird is the soul of the man. Because we haven't trusted that we get the bird back, we carry the cage in the spaceship. Or there is another line of teaching, which is the understanding the structure of the cage, that You can make the cage not to rot, that then it frees the bird, but it can open up and you can carry the bird is free, you don't need to fuel it, you don't need to do anything, it travels the space of the room, the space of the garden, the space of the city, and it comes back home again. In a way, when we teach about the soul of the man, is in getting the man to trust himself. And to trust himself, he has to become detached. He has to come detached from physicality, detached from the wealth, detached from everything else. That the wealth is within me, not belonging to me. And this is where every man makes a mistake. In many of the teachings I have referred, if you understand that you can put the soul of the man to act with the soul of physicality of the man, you can make anything you like. The soul of the man is the sun, and the soul of physicality in the palm of the hand of the man is the earth. You move it in the direction, you create water, you create food, but you don't need to have it. It creates the energy that the physicality of the man can absorb. We give the earth in the hand, in the palm of the man. He creates what he needs, he takes what he needs from it. Then, if you understand this, you allow the soul of the man to carry the soul of the physicality of the man with it, and whenever it comes, it makes that hand, that palm, 1,000 meter, 1 meter, in a cage of physicality or in a cage of non-dimension. So it's not methods of flight, it's the method of man understanding his own potential, his own grace. So because we have so many people who are so physically attached, we teach about the spaceship for years. This is what it was. They still wanted to see they can get into something. But as I said, I teach for the universe, not for the man. What we teach in the dimension of soul of the man, many travelers of the universe which hear the soul of me are educated, they understand what they missed. But as this is the last time we bring a messenger on earth, we teach everything for mankind to carry. All the rules are in the book. There shall be no more messengers. It's for man to translate knowledge. Scientifically, and then through the understanding of the soul of the man. What we call theology, ethics. Ethics of using the science in a way that does not harm no one, but it implies and applies the survival of the others. I was talking about this a few days ago, that there is a paper written by me, the station of the scientist as a prophet. The prophets we call Muhammad, Christ or anybody, are for the soul of the man, conduct of the behavior. Scientists like beautiful Tesla and others are to elevate the same, but the physicality of the man. This time we have put the two together in one go, then there is no difference. We teach the ethics, the soul conduct and physicality. It's for the man to understand where the two merge and when it's needed to be done. The totality which counts, not the individuality. What you can serve counts, not what serves you. So in this way, if you are physical, we have given you the spaceship, all these reactors. If you have moved in the dimension of understanding part of it, You have the dynamic system, you get some energies, you put a glass of water, you mix the energy and something else together, you're still the camel bird. You put the orange, take the energy, but you still want that the physicality that you're doing something with it, you drink the water. And for the soul of those who understand the totality, then they don't need the cage. They're the free bird. And this is the essence of all the teaching. Is not different ways of flight, is understanding the existence of the universe. Then, if you travel with a spaceship, who do you see? The citizens of the universe in a physical dimension. If you travel with the soul, that you can create the physicality, you take that out of the equation. You travel on your own. But you know you have connection with everybody. It's very much, as I said once, it's like you get off out of London and you go to New York. You're there on your own, but you still pick your phone and speak to the family in London. It's not finished. Now, the soul of the man, given the man the same opportunity. We teach for the time to come. And we teach from now till that time to come. And that time comes, is not anymore the end of the world, something will happen. Is the maturity of the one's understanding of his own creation. So that point depends on your intelligence. That point depends on how you mature individually. Not on waiting the end of the world, the heaven will come, the hell opens up and everything else. Heaven and hell is you who decides the point of maturity to leave the physicality and live in the dimension of the soul. Or I would like to be more here, I like to be tortured, to get sick, to go in the hospital, get the injection. Or I live in the dimension of the, what do you call it, soul, has no sickness, has no nothing, and I can travel. I can, instead of me going down to the garden down the road, I can go to another city, to another dimension, and to travel. We are teaching, as I said, about the donkey travel. We can teach you how to ride a bicycle. We teach you how to drive a car. We teach you how to be a pilot. We teach you how to become, what you call, astronaut. And then we teach you that you don't need any of these. You can travel like the rays of the sun across the universe without tangibility. When the ray of the sun arrives on earth, we don't say if you are a cat, dog, it's the ray, it's what it is. It, when it gets here, converts itself to its copper, zinc or protein. That's all it is. So which way do you want me to teach you? I told you when I started years ago, I speak in the language of the baby in the womb of the mother, and I speak in the language of the professors, or in the voice of the Muhammad, Christ, or whatever you like. Which one you understand, I speak the language. I carry the knowledge of the universe, and you have seen it over 6 years. Never carry a note, never carry a pen. I share knowledge freely because I carry the totality. But I have to speak in the language of what you understand. I cannot teach a child who just gets a pen in his hand to put the first dot in the school, what is a straight line and what is a dot. Teach him about differential equations in 7 dimensions, where a nuclear physicist works. Which language do you want me to speak? Then to you, I'm a very good teacher. There, I'm a very good physicist. The other one, I'm a good mathematician. When we used to design nuclear reactors, we used to do differential equations in 7 to 9 dimensions, which some of you don't even know, because we had to consider everything. And even the mathematicians of today, some of them can't solve these kind of problems. So what do you want me to calculate? 1 plus 1 is 2, or do you want me to tell you how a D-dimensional nuclear radiation in the thermodynamic of the reactors with all the parameters, space, time, will create heat and energy? I've been trained for both. But which one of it do you understand? And which one is to the point you say, this is it, I don't want to know anymore because I don't understand. Algebra is good enough for me. 1 plus 1 is good enough. So I teach a lot. It's man who has to decide which method of the flight he would like to carry which dimension and time and space of his own physicality. You know, when you go to small villages, there's one teacher, he teaches from nursery, child coming in to the 12th year before he goes to university, because it's only one teacher and the village is too far from anywhere. Everybody goes in the same classroom. I'm the teacher and you lot are the children in that classroom. When I teach algebra to the one who's going to university, the little girl who just walked in with wants to draw a pig and a house, taught the same. And both understand. It's not what I teach you. It's when you mature to understand, that's the point of the maturity of your own. That's all it is. So from now on, it's not going to be the end of the world. Heavens will come down. There's going to be a meteorite, the end of the earth. You see the end of the earth, the meteorite coming in 2 days. You have learned how to move your soul. You sit when you know the hurricane is coming. You move your house somewhere else. Move to moon. There's no meteorite in the moon. You won't touch. Wait and see when the hurricane is gone. If anything left, you come back and you're home again. That's all it is. Or are we going to make spaceships and sit and wait till we do? What do you want to do? Am I clear? Can you hear me?
We hear you.
So I hope your souls heard the voice of the Creator too. That's all it is. You like to play with the ganses and you like to play with the cores and you like to play with big spheric things, it's no problem. When we negotiated with the company in Belgium to design the first space reactor, the dimension of the reactor had to be, because we couldn't lift so much if it wasn't so big, it was 1 meter diameter. Look at the papers of the negotiation with a company in Belgium, it's all documented. They have signed for every meeting what knowledge has been transferred to the Belgian authorities. Because when we had the meeting, the next meeting 2 days later, the minutes of the last meeting was signed. What knowledge was transferred to the company? The company now is owned by the British Ministry of Defense. That time, because you know you're used to a jumbo jet to carry so much, I could not tell the guy I can make a small one. So it had to be a 1 meter diameter. When I started making it, it was a 15 centimeter, because it's the radiation distance alpha radiation can travel by multitude factor of the division. Then we made the reactor smaller. You became to dynamic reactors, little cores, you start putting gases in. As you understood more, I start talking about the fourth class, fifth class. Now you have just come to pass, maybe, maybe, for those who mature to understand the work of the soul of the man, to go from primary school to the secondary. Because the knowledge of the universe, all you understand now is about the working of the physicality of the man. You haven't even understood how the universe works, how the universal community interacts. You're little people in a little hut in the middle of a jungle who hasn't even understood the work of the village establishment, because you always lived on your own in the hut. You dealt with the bear and the tiger. Now you have to come and learn what it means to live in a village, let alone the town, the city, and the planet Earth, and then the universe. We bring the mankind to the level that he will not enter as illiterate, that he can be abused. We bring the man that at least he can write and read the language of the universe, write in the soul of the pen of the man, not with the pen of physicality. The pen of the soul is non-dimensional, but you still like to write something. So, what do you want me to teach? Which are the kind of flights you want to understand? You want me to tell you how the creator flies? Or do you want to understand how we travel from one universe to another? How can you live in the, let's say, salty water and then move in the sweet water? How can you live in a totally like an alkaline life and jump into the more acidic, what you call liquid, and still live? This is what's going to happen when you travel from one universe to another. Each one has his own dimension, his own strength. That needs another knowledge. So what language do you want me to speak? So how many flight systems have you learned? For years, you tried to copy the bird. You made a metal bird, then you stuck some fuel on your back of something, you called it the rocket. Now we are learning about the plasma technology. Now you learn about the physicality, the soul of the man, how to travel. Then you have to learn how we travel in the depth of the universe. And then you have to understand how to travel in the universal unicos. And then on top of that, how do you fly to see the creator within the structure of the creator? That's the ultimate. And mankind has a long way to go in the dimension of physicality. You never reach there with the physical dimension. Maybe the soul of some will be educated enough to reach that. So, which flight system do you want me to talk about? Nuclear based planes or gas reactors flight system we done in Iran? Gas systems which is developed now by the Chinese? Or you want to travel with the dimension of the soul of the prophets of God, which is the soul of the, we teach you that. You choose. Only thing is the journey has no end. Only in the physical dimension. I am the beginning, I am the end. I decided what physicality I give to my soul, and I decide when this soul will become part of the totality, exist in all dimensions. That's all it is. So, what do you want me to explain, Mr. Ricker? You've been here 270, 280 sessions. You haven't even managed to fly physically yet. You're still chasing it.
Yes, indeed. Well, it just proves that we have a long ways to go, perhaps. But thank
No,
you.
it happens in a second. It's just when you get enlightened.
Yes, exactly. Hmm. Well, thank you for elucidating that. That was basically what we ended up with when we started to discuss the issue. And I did mention that that you went years without notes in your discussions, and because we were talking about, you know, would you need to have, what do you need to go to space? Would you need to have all these books of knowledge and so on? Or would you even need clothes is one question that came up, because depending on how you go, if you're going in the soul mode, you're probably not too concerned about what clothes you have on. You probably don't even know what clothes are in that mode.
How can you put the clothes on the sun
Yes,
if you
exactly.
can dress it? The thing is, why we can dress the soul of the man in a dimension of the physicality of the brain of the man, because we have learned a trick. You know, you can't catch a fish with what do you call it? With nothing. You have to make a net to capture it. And the soul of the man has learned how, has given the strength to convert itself to a dimension of its physicality, which is the skull and the dimension of the, what do you call it, the skin of the. That's all. How do we travel? This is one of the things which mankind will face very soon. Can we keep the soul of physicality operating, but move the soul of the man to travel the dimensions of the universe and still be in touch with the soul of the man? Do we need the soul of the man to be within the body of the man while it travels the depth of the universe and comes back and brings everything, but this time it shares everything with the physicality? Many races in the universe can do that, and some humans have achieved it. Trusting that the bird comes back, the cage stays, the cage doesn't collapse.
We have Arthur from Scotland who wants to ask a question, and it has to do with the blue light that he sees when he interacts his fields with the fields of the universe. So perhaps Arthur can clarify what he means by that. Arthur, are you there, Arthur? Can you respond? I see your microphone is
Hiya.
open.
Hiya, it's Arthur from Scotland.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon.
Morning. I wanted to ask a question about the blue light. The blue light which appears when I interact with my soul and the soul of the universe. And it's like a bright dot, shiny, and it's blue, like blue fade. Sometimes it's a shiny dot, like a bright shiny dot appears just for a flick of a second, and you feel it in your forehead and you feel the field flow. And I just wanted to ask, why is that blue light?
Since when you've been seeing the blue light?
Oh, it's been a year or something. Well, since I started to practice the fields more and more, and I started to see it. Well, I practice nighttime and sometimes I practice daytime, but it's been a year or something, yeah.
Is it since when? What made you to practice? Where did you go?
Well, I'm a knowledge seeker for 6 years,
Ah.
so and been very passionate knowledge seeker, and also very close to my emotions, and always practicing fields. Also wanted to ask you a question about the wave and the particles.
The what? The what?
The wave and
Yeah.
the particles. If I go outside and I play fields and I try to see energies, I try to see just the energies. And if I look in the blue sky, and if I'm patient enough, at the beginning it's like a wave. It's like shimmering slightly. Then it slows down, and then it's like a particles. It's like a shiny wee dots running around. And then that's another question, yeah, about there are like billions of them around, and if you come closer to your soul, you can see the particles, yeah, you can see the soul of the element. And that was one of my questions: is that the soul of the element, all those shining wee dots running around? At the beginning they're like particles, and then they wave back again, and then they're like, they're like everywhere, those energies. And then I practiced that for a few years, probably for 6 years, yeah. And I see energies very naturally now. And I just wanted to ask more about the wave, the particle, about the shining dots, and now I've seen the blue light. The blue light is very intense. When you feel it through your soul, it's like it's very, very intense field flow. And then I was just curious about that blue light.
Where about in the Scotland do you come from? Or do you...
Just about just about Edinburgh.
The beautiful city of Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe fine.
It seems what you see is you are moving in the direction or the dimension of understanding or expanding the freedom of the soul of the man. So you still need the confirmation. So you try to confirm it that I see it with my eyes. So the next step in understanding is to move to see with the fields of the soul. And partially you see many people can see waves. We see it because it depends on our amino acid and what we allow to be released from our soul. We change it. It's like changing of the, what do you call it, a window. The more you open up, the more you see.
And
but the light is always there.
Because you don't have an emotion. Yeah, sorry about interrupting. Because no emotion, like no filters. You just look through your soul. Yeah.
So, because you most probably don't see even through the eye of the man. You can see the depth of the universe. I have taught Caroline. We see things. I've taught her. She can see. So she can see waves. She can see movements from whatever in the sky. But it's more or less understanding that there is no limit. You don't need to see with the eye of the man. You can see through the fields of the soul of the man. So in a way you expand your field's dimension beyond your physicality. And if you manage to do enough of or being able to trust that I can be part of it to envelop the whole physicality, and you become the light.
Envelop the whole thing. Oh yeah,
And then you see it through then that dimension. You see this done by many people who have passed the dimension of physicality a long time ago. It's been now for hundreds of years. As I said, it depends on the point of the maturity, how you get to that point. There's a lot of people who manage to do it, and they can pass the position and the dimension of physicality. They can do that, but it means you're maturing in the right direction that you do not need. But why do we see the blue light with the human dimension? Is because of the structure of the matters of this in this planet in respect to the central gravitational magnetic field forces of the planet. We create a blue light, and when more or less, if I can explain it in one way, we see from outside the blue planet, because it's the interaction of the soul of the planet with its matter states, what they call it, fields. And when you reach that point, it means you have reached to the soul of the planet. That's all it is. You become another blue. That's all it is. Which means you don't need to be an ocean. You have become part of the totality.
I thought it's a universal community. When I see the one light up, me and my pals just going through the city, and I see the light, and I see the other one, and I feel it in my forehead, and feels so sweet, and you feel really high, like flow, and you're just buzzing, and so much energy, you know, and you see the light, you know. And I thought for a second, oh my God, maybe a universal community, you know, or maybe just seeing the...
No, it's that it's not to understand it, is it's the evolution of life. We have matured to make fire, we matured to understand the science, we matured to understand our own physicality, and now we mature to understand the structure of the soul which creates the physicality. And now the next step is some will travel through that dimension into understanding that I do not need this physical dimension. I can live with any dimension as I create. And it takes time for man, not practice, trusting that I can do. As I said, you can stretch your arm and create any entity in your hand.
I'm trying, like, since you shared the goal, oh man, I've been trying to do goal a couple times, you know. I see
very easy, very easy.
No chance. I've been trying like for ages, and I see.
You know something. You live in Edinburgh, yeah?
Yeah,
just about. Go on the hill to Edinburgh Castle, yeah? Outside the castle, there are two British soldiers wearing the hats, like the one in Buckingham Palace stand there, yeah? You know they're not supposed to move, they're not supposed to make anything, and they move within themselves. Have you seen them? They're supposed to be solid, they're not supposed to smile, they're not supposed to make any reaction. They're there, statues, till they change their guard. You know what I'm talking about, you've been there most probably. Now, go and stand in front of them, because they cannot speak, and see if you can feel them, and if they can feel you.
Can I feel them?
Make them laugh. Don't do anything. Just sit there and say, I want you to laugh. See, the guy laughs. I've done this a few years ago. I love Edinburgh.
And you felt it?
I've seen them laughing.
You've seen them
you have to learn the expansion of the language. I mean, I spend a lot of time in Edinburgh. It's one of the cities I love to go to. My son lives there at the moment. And it's the beauty of it. But you can do, if you see, you have to understand who and how you want to communicate. The um, I'll give you an example, which is, I explained this before. Maybe now you understand. You can understand maybe more. Giovanni has spoken about it. When we had Naomi in the hospital in Bari, she was in a coma. I was there when the accident happened. That day, I rushed to the hospital. I was there, and she was kept in that hospital for some weeks before Giovanni decided to move her to another hospital further up in the holy place. And I had to say goodbye because it was a long distance to go. And when I went to say goodbye the last evening, the family were there. Giovanni is on the line. I think he can tell you. And we have spoken about this. I reached the soul of Naomi without anything, and she could move. I could move any. I asked her to move her leg, and she moves her leg. She moves her arm, and at that minute she could move. And there were all the family there watching it. So you can reach the soul, and the soul moves the physicality. And that's all I did. I'm mastering my game. When Giovanni was inside, we were outside the glass. He was in a, what do you call it, isolation unit, with literally a physical body, which was a pump was running it. It was mentally not there. And we were all outside behind a big glass talking through the phone. I didn't even need the phone. We can reach, you can reach the soul of the man, and then the soul of the man moves the physicality of it. If the one is online, he can tell you again, he's spoken about it. And so it's the same. This is what I teach, but a lot of people have not matured to it, that you need to feed the soul of the man. Through feeding the soul of the man, you feed the physicality of the man. If I can reach the soul of Naomi, that I can, through my wish, in a way, not the remote control, but seeing the presence of existence of the soul, and she moves her arm and leg. So it means the energy of my soul has accepted by the energy of her soul, and then it has created a physical motion.
I do this at work all the time. I see my pals, my mates, and I just need something, you know, with manufacturing. And I'm like, I'm not even wishing or anything, you know. I'm like, I just need that, and I feel it. And it just comes from the corner, and it give me the key, give me the tools, give me the that. Oh, I need just to stay longer, you know. My mates come and they know me. They know already what I want, you know. And the best playground is it's been actually work, you know, working with my mates on the line, you know, and I see how they interact respect to me, you know. I give from my soul to them, and then you know, and it's really eye-opening, you know. And you see
So
how
you're expanding to the next dimension of understanding the work of your soul. That's all it is. It's another tool. And to understand it, and then how do you feed yourself? How can a man, without killing himself, without killing other things?
But you still, I know, Mr. Kashi, you know, but I'm still physicality. I try to eat. Well, I know I can absorb
We
anything.
cannot stop eating on this planet.
Yeah, see, I'm still eating. I have to lift. I have to go to work. I have to wake up and I lift. I try to go just by water and then just fields, you know, but I still have to lift, and my tummy goes like, oh no, man, you need a little food, you know.
Yeah, you know, I have this discussion, even it happens quite often. We say we can make gold. I say, oh, if you can make gold, why don't you make it for the foundation? I said, you want me to bankrupt all the nations? I create more mayhem. I came here to create peace. I was in a meeting very recently. The guy said, I have 8 gold mines. I give them to you. You can take all the gold out to pay. I said, I don't need. I can make it faster than you can mine it.
Give it to me then.
the the gift of knowledge counts, not the gift of physicality.
Yeah.
What can
But
you
we
do
all
with it?
struggle. I'm just saying, we all struggle in physicality. Go to work, you know, back shift.
If you go back 200 years ago, there was no 9 to 5 shift. There was nobody. Everybody was living in there outside. They were made what they needed, and they lived a happy life. We have conditioned ourselves to this. You see, it's become social structure survival. It's
Yeah.
very much now, you know, women can give birth to the age of 60, 65, 70, in 80 and 90s. Soon women will be able to give birth, because now we've seen in 60, 70, 65, 70 women are giving birth. And very gradually it will become norm. But in the past, age of 30, they couldn't do it. It was finished. Because now the mode of the survival have become social structure. We all pay for all the children to be educated. So the fear of hunger and the child might die is gone. So the woman carries on producing. Now we have conditioned ourselves in the social structure. We have to be in the cities because there is a water, there is electricity. We can get something to eat. So we have compromised the freedom of our soul to engagement of the building and cities. But the sooner we come to realize that we do not need this, we can still live. I can still go to work. It's a pleasure to go to work. But I go there just to be with people and enjoy that I'm alive. I don't go there because I need the food. I don't go there because I need to pay the electricity bill. I don't need to go because, you know, if I don't have, there won't be anything for me to survive. We're doing it out the obligation of engaging the soul of the man in the physicality. And that's why our soul rebels in allowing to be really freed by the physical dimension.
Yeah, I need money, you know, I need to pay my rent, you know, and I have to.
Yeah, but put it this way. Let me put it this way to you this way. If the way we are structuring, and in a coming time, as even I speak now, parallel to my speak, I'm aware of meetings which are going on, that we are structuring the basis of one nation with governments. My teams are negotiating with governments on the basis of one nation policy. Then what happens? What happens when we achieve that?
I serve the foundation every day then.
No, because then what do? Do we need, if you open a social security structure the way it is in Europe, everybody sits there, nothing to do, because there is no elevation of the physicality and the soul of the man. But if we understood that the elevation, the comfort of the physicality does not necessarily need, what do you call it, is encaged in a physical dimension to be fed. You can have whatever you need as a soul of the man to feel warm, to feel you don't need any energy, and we can provide everything for you. People are not going to stay in their homes and locked up because I'm getting fed.
But they still have to learn a little bit of the field faults.
Oh, I can listen. There is
the soul. They have to still, you know, practice the soul. For people, it's really hard. Like I try to educate people with the soul. I get like rejected straight away. I talk about the soul here in Scotland. Oh my God!
Listen, the Scotch speaks more than the soul. They meet their souls when there's a couple of Scotch whiskey down the throat, isn't it?
I know, it's just the sharing of knowledge that wasn't easy at all. I'm trying to share it every day, man. You know, like I'm trying to share it, but people just, oh my God, people just don't want to accept it or just don't want to learn it.
Just walk a few kilometers into the city center of Glasgow. They all speak to their souls. They're so drunk they don't know where the physicality is.
Yeah. And
that's the beauty of Scotland, huh? So they meet their souls all the time because the physical dimension doesn't matter. It's
one nation would be one nation, like you said, you know, and that would be. Yeah, looks like that.
It is. The thing is, we have to change the structure. And the structure is not being in the car and having a house to be. The structure is that as one nation, the leaders of one nation will be the core, what do you call it, the Earth Council and the Universal Council, have to provide that every soul lives in the dimension of totality of the freedom of the pain and suffering. And then with it provides everything with a new technology. The new people don't understand what this technology is going to do. I was one of the members of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers very recently. I said the profit made in the we have given a guarantee to the Chinese government that we will not take any money out of the Chinese community, Chinese society, that to take it to, like, you know, to take it to America or take it to Iran or whatever. Whatever is made by Chinese is for the Chinese, and if they agree to create more to share with others. But the Chinese is not only the Chinese in China. We have tens of millions of Chinese to live absolute poverty outside China. It's the responsibility of the Keshe Foundation, what do you call, Universal Council members and Earth Council members, to make sure the Chinese, from the benefit of their nations here, are looked after. Just because you are living in Mexico as a, what do you call it, as a Chinese, you have to live in absolute poverty. This is the purpose of the, what we say. But when it goes in the hand of the Universal Council, when it goes in the hand of the Earth Council, feeding humanity is so easy, and I keep on saying it. People will soon realize, and that is, we don't need to go through the conversion.
Yeah,
we don't need,
you can take energy straight away from
we can station reactors around the cities, around the planet. The way we receive radio, what do you call it, information through our mobile phone, we receive all the energy we need, and we receive the energy to create warmth, that we are not, we have no fear of dying of hunger, whatever. And now the technology moving into the wireless energy systems, that energy has to be free. And if we can do it, Keshe Foundation is highly geared up now into national food security and international food security, that those who have not developed, we secure. Most of my time now is spent on national food security, international food security, because we have shown the technology, it can be done.
Yeah,
you can change things, but at this moment of time, there is a lot of resistance for those who have set the structure and they look at the physical finances to come in. If we release and start showing you to make kilos of tons of gold, what does it do? You all go into next game. What's it called? These other things, which is now physicality doesn't need enough gold, because now we go to a space, I cannot pay you with gold in the space, I pay you with whatever bitcoins and this and that. Man likes to be attached to something which controls it, then it confirms he exists.
Well, some of us just want to be a little bit more free, not to, you know, just a little bit more finance, a little bit more, so we can expand and everybody have a research center. I wish I had a research center and I could do plasma every day.
The freedom comes from the trust in the soul of the man.
Yeah, no.
So now gradually people start testing, trying. Thousands of people. Keshe Foundation works very perfectly with Taoism, because they can see how one can merge into others. Keshe Foundation in China grows so rapidly because the basis for understanding of the balance between the two is part of the structure of the life. Yin and yang. We talk with gravitational magnetical. They can see the spirituality of the balance. Now with the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation, they see physicality of the balance, and then the foundation carries the soul of the two the same, and it merges very easy. We do not work that to create. We will have all these cars. These cars we drive because we enjoy. It's conference. We are physically existing. Yeah. Or we make other systems to do. We didn't have cars 100 years ago as such. We still got around with the donkey. And before that, we still could walk. Now we learn the motion of the soul. We travel much faster. You know, as you know, in America and Europe, 100 years ago, they said if you go faster than 25 miles an hour, your brain will come out, your eyes pops out, and there was a guy walking around with a flag in front of the car. So we have changed. We are getting educated, and this is the next step of education. Do we need to build all these high buildings and spend years to build them, when now we know how to create dimensions of the physicality? It takes you 4 reactors and you build any structure you like. You don't like it, you take it down and you get a football out of it, or God knows, a tennis racket, and live whatever you like. These kind of structures with the cities is over, if you understand.
Yeah, but you have to be detached, you know, and that's
no, you have to be detached, but at the same time understand with it you can do a lot of attachments that it helps the others. This is what is the teaching of the Keshe Foundation. This is what we are here for, to not to cause that we have new things, but to gradually bring that everything comes to balance. I still eat. I still enjoy every dimension of the physicality. I've said to Caroline many times, we come here to enjoy the beauty of the creation. Huh? Because this planet is beautiful if you understand it. You don't need to spend time doing this and that. I've given up everything, but
if you have time and you don't have to spend your time doing the work and everything, you know, all the
listen, the dimension of physicality we have chosen. We have conditioned ourselves to it. It's very much, you watch these programs, the guy is sentenced for 20 years in prison, and then they open the door and say, now you're free. He says, I don't know where to go. I have to commit a crime to go back in because I don't know how to live in this society. Yeah, we call it becoming constitutionalized. We have become constitutionalized through the physicality of our body. We are afraid to go outside with our soul because what happens there? We don't know how to handle it. You have started testing it and see it happens, huh? Is it your generation, or would you flip in one go to understand the totality, or would you're a young person, if you carry this in 25 years in dimension of your RNA and DNA, your children will pick up. Would your child, your grandchild, which follow the same thing, would be able to leave his physicality and come back in? You want to do the switch, you want to become the immigrant to go to America, or you want your grandchild to do? Or you go, that place is no good for me, I don't need to go to, I stay where I am, but I travel the universe. It's how and so fast people mature. And sometimes people try so hard that they give up because they go the wrong way.
They want to see they want to
I want to see
soul.
But this is what you have to do, you know. You know, when you're from Scotland, yeah, when you go to Gretna Green, what do you know? Gretna Green has a special place in the British culture, huh? Why is the only place in that little shop, in that little church, that you escape to marry, huh? All the way from England? Because it's the place when you can decide through the love, you marry your love there, isn't it? The lovers go to Gretna Green, huh? It's a beautiful place, huh? Where you want to give, you risk everything to give what you have, you call love, to your partner, which is your life, your physicality. So man has to learn that.
See, we just spoke about the Chinese spaceship center. They have problem to seeing the fields and manifest the physicality. They look very physically on the systems, or they're looking at top of the system and they actually see the rays, and they see the fields, and then through the soul they can try and manifest the physicality of the spaceship.
Well,
They have that problem.
everybody has a problem.
That's the problem for physical system.
That's a problem for the people, for instance. I've had this problem. I saw the flight in Desasano. Armand system flies, but he doesn't see it. He cannot push it to the next step.
You actually see physically fly, or just it was
Physically fly. Physically,
you didn't see that.
you don't see it because it's there. The expectation is to see it flying across the room.
System doesn't want to him to see.
Yeah, but you have, once you see, it's like when you put a candle. You know, when you get a wood and you rub it and you start the first fire, you have to give it the same. Then it becomes, you know, the coal become a candle, and then you put a bit of become fire, and then you start. The problem is that coal to kindle. Is a lack of trust in or expectation. We expect to see because it's there. When I took the first flight, I was discussing this very recently. When we had the first flight left in Tehran, it was around about 5:30 on 28th of Shaban in Tehran, and I called what we call our people in the government of Ahmadinejad. I called the office of the president people, and I said, we are flying. And it was so important that I wanted to be, I was there to prepare to show, but the response I received, I wanted it. Ahmadinejad was on a flight to United Nations conference, but he was going there for totally wrong reasons to create all the mayhem because his pattern. I wanted the Iranian government to announce that we have achieved the first step flight. It wouldn't be done. All Ahmadinejad needs to do, we could get it shown in United Nations, Iran has achieved. He was on the platform. Iranian scientists refused and I stopped flying. Huh? Because to me it was important that we could enforce that the mankind has moved to the next step. And he was, why did we have to fly a couple of days before he lands in New York, and he used the stage to do the damage than bringing unity. Yeah?
Yeah.
The same thing, my knowledge is the same with the Chinese. We want to use the knowledge for uniting mankind. And I see President Xi as one of the closest allies of the foundations in the school of thoughts. And this time, would we get President Xi to show the space flight in United Nations when he flies his for opening in September? That's my wish.
But we can move the souls. We can.
That is, no, it's the acceptance of the technology to move to the next step. You understand? Because we need peaceful leaders to show the way. We need, you see, at the moment is the rule of jungle. And half of why humanity is not progressing to the next step, we have animals at the head of the states.
We do that.
Yeah, we know them. We need those who understand what security, what peace means to run, to take leadership, like President Xi. Like other leaders, we have Putin, one of the strongest supporters of peace through rights of nations. You have to understand each of these leaders, how it works. We don't need animals, the guy doesn't know his left hand and right hand. And it's been put at the realm of what they call the most bankrupt nation in the world.
The leaders have to follow the teachings as passionate as the others.
No, they have to understand that humanity has reached a point that is tired of war, tired of killing. And it needs to come to the point that we create the condition for peace. We create the position for peace. And we strive to achieve that peace through technology, through change. Why should I escape from the country where I do a lot of good work because a king wants it to be in his pocket?
Mhm.
He will not die till I put him in prison. The king of Belgium, till he doesn't end up in jail, he will not die. This
Mhm.
is what is said, the end of kingship. Because world leaders have to listen, that they have to understand they're answerable through their souls and physicality to what they do to their citizens.
Mhm.
Yeah. So now, do we need to do that? Do we start feeding our people, or do we start killing our people? 7 billion is nothing. We are short of population to go into space. We have not reached the critical mass to be able to travel clearly. It has been seen, we can show it. In Japan, there is not enough to look after all people. What
Mhm.
happens when the most knowledge people go outside their space? In part of the world, we don't have that. So what's going to happen? We have not reached critical mass of numbers.
Well, I think everything's gonna get bad if we actually will start to lift. If somebody actually will start to do that,
It has
then
already
we start
started.
balanced it. Yeah, I know, but I think that
It's
everything
already
starts.
started. It already started. As I said, we don't make announcements anymore because that's
Yeah,
the job of the
this is
government to
yeah.
announce it. So,
Yeah, it's a good thing actually not to make announcements and not to say that
no,
things gonna
because we've seen
happen.
animals we've seen in Germany who make threat against children's life and everything else. All this has been kept. In time, we'll take action against these actions, but in a friendly way, not on a revenge way. You have to elevate them. People like Guy Red Circle in Belgium, he needs to be elevated. He is used to criminality, stealing patents and other people's life and poisoning children and everything else. And it's still they write them whatever they like. Doesn't go. These
Mhm.
people need to elevate. They have their own children, they have their own grandchildren. What is going to be done to them?
Mhm.
Because they are connected. And by law, they will pay for their actions. Doesn't matter how the color they want to paint it.
Mhm.
Huh?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter if you're a
that's
world leader or
uh,
not.
yeah, it makes you angry sometimes, and then you lose it. When you're angry, you lose the fields, you lose the flow, you go
No,
field to
no, you don't get angry. I get very,
oh,
very, what do you
it's
call
just
it?
too much to sometimes,
No, I don't get angry. You call it anger, but as I explained recently, I let my feeling known because that feeling comes from the soul, and the soul will create judgment.
Mhm.
Balance. You call it the judgment. Balance with other souls. But I'm not the only one.
Yeah, but we do so much for everybody, and they just,
No, when you think you do so much, it's the time when you're doing it, you're not doing anything. You never measure. Once you start measuring, I always said, when you start measuring your wealth, you're not wealthy enough, because then you have a measure to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is part of life, but uh, we need to change, and the change comes in the different directions and dimensions. How do we do? We have 217 teaching and knowledge seekers. They tell me I've done 141 private teachings. We've done so many conferences, we've done so many teachings, books. So many of you are working, expanding the knowledge in different ways. Hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people are busy with it because we have touched the soul of the man. We have enlightened the candle of love in the soul of the man, not in the heart of the man.
Mhm.
And that's the difference. But we have to understand what we do with it. What are the consequences of what we are doing? When we sign agreements with the governments, I tell them I don't want any of the wealth. I want control. That the rights of the humanity is not given to a bunch of thugs, and when it becomes so much they want to control. In
Mhm.
all negotiations, Cash Foundation sits majority vote in all the companies. And I say, now we got the majority. Whatever I make in my name, in the name of the foundation, goes back to the nation. I want nothing from it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how it should be. We set a structure for the foundation, but the foundation works on what the structure is set in a universal condition, not for the humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody sends us £5 donation, £10 donation. Somebody sends us £25 or 10,000 donation, or whatever is there. It goes for the expenses. Whatever we can keep, we keep. They steal. How much did they steal from us? Everybody in the foundation. But at the end of it, where are they? What happened to them? We have entered a condition to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I'm away from. I sometimes sit and say, what am I doing this for? Away from my children, away from my family, away.
Exactly.
I'm extremely wealthy. I put all my wealth aside. I'm highly educated. I can just accept a seat as a professor in any university and get paid handsome money. Why do I go through this?
You're good in fields. You like field. You're the addict of fields. You lover the fields. Yeah, you're a lover of the fields, and that keeps you going.
No, it's I know it's the salvation of humanity. We got to change millions of years of what has happened here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is the one of the last chance for a long time. If we miss it, it's done. It's gone.
Mm-hmm. But you like fields, yeah, Mr. Cash.
What do you mean fields? What do you mean by that?
Like when you interact with your physical soul and you feed yourself from your physical soul, it's very nice feeling, and it confirms your existence.
I even don't know what I do it. Somebody recently
I'm just that was a question. You like fields, and I'm saying that.
No. I was telling you, somebody very recently told me, you never get tired. You work around the clock. I never get tired. I work day and night. I was working till 2:30 this morning. 5 o'clock I was back behind the desk, and I was still going. And it's the same every day, where the energy comes from, and I don't even know when I'm asleep or when I'm awake or what is going on. But at the moment, everything goes on 24 hours a day.
You don't really like extend your soul like I did in the beginning. I tried to take energy from environment, I give.
Listen,
back,
you have
Now it happens naturally. It just soul picks up the energy.
No, I have extended my soul across this planet. Why do you think the whole humanity is getting enlightened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have no dimension. Mm-hmm. So we need to change, but gradually we need to change a lot of things. You cannot say the old has to crumble that the new comes up. The existence of the soul of the man does not need no physicality, so it doesn't need the old to go or the new to start. It's ever there, it's everlasting. It's just us to know when to get on the bus. Mm-hmm. These conditions we have created for our physicality. We like to put ourselves in pigeonholes to confirm our existence. We haven't realized that if we work through our soul, our existence is already confirmed in the universe, not only on this planet. If you listen to the beginning, I said, when you look from outside, you see millions of stars as the soul of the man. It's us who does not want to see us as the creator of us.
Mm-hmm. Just wanted to ask you, governments are ready for the portals and the universal community. Are they really so open? When you talk about the portals, that's probably some of them. They're all portals. That's going over their head. The movies and everything. Portals here.
No. You have to.
Iran ready, yeah. Not like
no. Many of the advanced nations are already working in that direction. Because you see, governments have layers of research. There's researchers that people cannot know, otherwise they want everything. There are researchers which is in America we call it black budget, and then there is another black budget. If you understand what it goes. There are scientists who have enlightened and they work in a very different dimensions that we see, but you cannot bring it into the what do you call it?
Public.
Into the open, into the public. Public are not ready for it. Public. This is part of now we see, like in the Islamic world, there is a huge shift for the Islamic nations to start changing the 1400 year dogma about the moon. As I explained in one of the teachings last time. And this takes, you can't change 1400 years. Now we want to make a Arab space, like European Space Agency. Now they have a Middle East Arab nations space agency. So now you try to tell that Bedouin that what is being told to you, that moon is blah, 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 now we're going to land on it. You try to bring the camel to load it up. The hump is too big. So now they have to turn it and twist it, show it as advancement in the knowledge of man. So we have to turn it somehow. Why did Keshe Foundation 2 years ago announce the establishment of the spaceship in Ghana? We're still going to do it very soon. Because if the Europeans have it, the Asians have it, the Africans have it, the South American, Brazilians have it, why should Africa become left behind? That's the reason I established the Keshe Foundation Space Center in Ghana. We're going back there in a bigger way to do it. Yeah? Then all the continents know it says, oh, these Africans cannot go anywhere. You see, they don't even have one. You understand? So as I said, as a father, all the children have to have the same. And that's what we do. The ones who don't have, you help the child a little bit to understand what it's like. This is what is the next step. Pan-African Space Agency through Keshe Foundation. But we don't need, because we have the new knowledge, we don't need to build rocket launch and everything else. We go directly into the spaceship program. It's the problem Americans have. Americans, they put cables everywhere. Now they don't let new technologies in the mobile phone to come in. Because they haven't got the money back for all the cables they laid down, they dug the holes and they put it in. Why the CFO of Huawei is trapped in Canada? Because Huawei has a technology 10 to 15 years ahead of the Americans. They want to hold it, cage it till they can catch up. That's the only reason that poor woman is sitting there. There's no other reason. Because American Bell Company and the rest have not collected their investment back. Now everybody else is dirty till we get there. When we get there, there is no problem. This is the American logic of doing the work. But now with a new powerful nations like China, Russia, Iran, we are changing the condition. We are talking through the language of the science. You want to be on the donkey, you become. Americans will go more and more backwards because the governments are holding them back, the finances are holding them back. So it's we are moving in that direction. And those who get the stock, when you're in China, you don't see cash transfer. Very, very seldom. The notes, I don't see how we can live with it anymore, the way what is going on around the world. When I saw it the first time 10, 12 years ago in Sierra Leone, when people were paying for 2 potatoes with a telephone, I thought that the change has come. When you go to China, nobody more or less carries cash. Soon there is no bank because you use the WeChat and you pay everybody everything, and that's it. Why do we need no?
Like
And
they're
then
really advanced with our WeChat and everything. Like
everything across the world, the whole of Asia is passing America. Americans are living in a cuckoo's land. They still need paperwork to sign. We want to plant more trees for the Americans while they still need papers to sign. This is the problem. The ones who are advanced, they become so much proud of their advancement that they have to hold the others that we don't catch up. My little boy was a year and a half old, and we took him to a playground, and he was on one of these carts running around, and he started crying and shouting. And we said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I have to be first. They all have to be behind me." And he was crying that all the children on the cart to be behind him because he had to be first. And this is the Americans the same way, huh? Everybody else, doesn't matter, you have the power. You got to stay because I have to be the first. We do it by race, we do it by religion, we do it by color, we do it by every means to say we are better than the others, but we are all equal. We all bleed the same, we all die of the same cancer. And this is the job of the world leaders to bring that equality. And we see that in President Xi of China. We see that in Putin. We see it in Ayatollah Rouhani of Iran. We see it in
Putin as well.
Pardon?
I mean, Putin
is, yeah, it's what we see. Number of we see it in a couple of new Western European leaders. The condition, the change is there. Now is for those who control to change the balance. It has to come to be ashamed to carry a gun. You remember, you're British. You live in Great Britain.
I'm born in Latvia, just near Russia.
You live there. Okay.
I live in Scotland.
You live in Scotland. Now
Yeah.
I tell you something. I don't know how far back you go. In 1970s, early 80s, we never saw armed officers on the street of London. It was just a baton and a handcuff. When I saw the first gun near what do you call it, London city center, I was shocked. I went to the officer, I said, "Why do you carry a gun?" He said, "What's got to do with you?" I said, "We are not supposed to have a gun here." He said, "It's getting violent, we have to protect ourselves." Huh? So we have become matching the Americans. Does the time come when the police doesn't need a gun? And we're getting to that point. If you look in China, within 7 minutes, your face is recognized. So there are no criminals on the street if you are a criminal. Does the police need to carry a gun? They are creating condition of peace. You understand? Within 7 minutes, anywhere in Beijing or all the major cities in China, you can be picked up as long as you walk on the street. Face recognition is so complete.
In China?
In China, they don't need you. They don't need to have a police officer to know where you are. If you rob a shop, they have your pictures. Within seconds, you go shopping the next day, you go to a concert the next day, they pick you up in the crowd. It's become very common in China now. So the government is creating a condition of peace, peaceful condition, where the criminals have no room. So when you don't have rooms, you don't need to carry guns. When you don't carry guns, yeah, and this is what it was in England till when in mid 80s, when the gun became norm. When we saw the first submachine guns on the street of London, I was shocked. I came to feel safe. And this is part of the structure. We have to learn is the responsibility of the governments to create a peaceful environment for the nations to live, that the nationals become peaceful. And it's part of the one planet, one nation. We start governing, people will understand very soon. We start governing. The Keshe Foundation, what you see is not what the Keshe Foundation is working on the what do you call it, new style of work. So We still teach, we still share knowledge, we still elevate the soul of the man, we teach you everything else. But on the other hand, we sit, we negotiate, we get pushed around, we hustle with the governments till we get it our way, because we say we are not taking, we are not here to take from you. We are here to give you security, your national security and your government security.
They're asking for a proof as well, but you and negotiate.
The proof they have done, they always ask for a proof. That's normal. In a next very short time, you will see the acceptance and recognition of the Keshe Foundation technology across Europe by EU regulation.
EU.
EU has already, we are on a discussion table that technology of Keshe Foundation in certain fields will become part of the structure. We are in negotiation. Yeah, that we have shown how we can create security, national food security, environmental security, health security.
They're open, yeah, they mind open on.
It's not open. They have the data, they have the results, they have reports. You understand? So we are in a transition time. In next few weeks, few months, we started a year ago. What happened a year ago, which is shocked me, how vulnerable I left the Keshe Foundation to be. I knew how to handle it the other way. It took me a year to set it up. You will understand Keshe Foundation in the coming months will sit, the top people who you do not even know will sit with the world leaders in public for delivery of the technology, for changing the environment, for food security, for health security. All been done. I have the date, the time, and the place is going to happen. Yeah, but we have to, it's the job of the world leaders to bring security to nationals. And when we say it's job of the world leaders to do that, when you run one nation, one planet, it's the job, it's the responsibility of what we call as a Keshe Foundation in collaboration with the world leaders to create that condition. We are the tools, we are not the rules.
Maybe we need new world leaders, maybe the old...
They're always old and new. The old leaders are all the same as the new ones. It's just that if they learn the new way, they can do the same to do way.
If they're willing to learn,
there's not willing. This is what negativity. Why don't you wish you will do? When you put if willing, you already put negativity to it. Why don't you flame it with love and care that they will?
Well, I've been doing this for you wish, I wish, 6 years.
It is the way the course of humanity is taking shape. And we give knowledge freely. They have problems. Big national companies, governments wanting to deal with Keshe Foundation, past few months have had a huge problem with us. Patents, I have, but I've given it to everyone. You want my patent? It's there. But everybody else has it. How can we handle you? Because you cannot, we have to have something that it shares, there is some value to it. I said, you put value on me on a piece of paper. You don't value on what's in my head to worth more than what's on a piece of paper. What is on my patent is 20 years old. We've developed 20 years ahead. You want that? You can have it. But what I carry now, which is a combination of so much knowledge, counts. Now we want all your thoughts to be ours as well. I said, my God, do you want to, when I go somewhere else, you want all that as well? Maybe some knowledge goes down the loo with it too. You understand? This is what we have to understand. And this is part of us. You say you see the light, okay? So how many people start going that way? We hear a lot of people are moving in that direction. Many knowledge seekers. Many people recently have come to Keshe Foundation because they have been enlightened. They're not interested in the gas making and the nano coating, not at all. The new generation of the Keshe Foundation followers in past 6 months, 12 months is running into millions are here to understand how they elevate their souls. And we are having a lot of clergy coming to us. A lot of clergies are moving to understand. The teaching of the soul of the Keshe Foundation is getting taught in churches, to clergies, in the mosques, with the rabbis. Everybody is in it because now they see for the first time. Yeah? Vatican has put a team working on what we teach as a soul of the man. Because they have to understand. Now people are getting educated, they go there and ask the priest in the church, what is this? He can't answer. And then he has to deny it, and the guy says, I can do it, it's there. This is the level we have to educate. And the way we do, like on this teaching, today's teaching, if you understood the first half an hour of the teaching of today, has put a lot of clearance, understanding of totality. That's why I didn't come to teach today. I asked the question because we feel the souls who need to gain the knowledge. And that's the pattern is. Now the new cycles of the Keshe Foundation followers, they don't even want to know about Ganses and all the things we do.
Well,
Teach us
it helps you to find the path to your soul, kinda. You know, you start again.
But they understood it, they don't need to make it. Then if they go that way, they go back to physicality, attachment to something to have to be able to show the work of their soul. The new generation of the followers of the Keshe, I see many of them. I more and more they're popping up. More and more of them are coming up because they've listened to the teaching, they've seen somewhere, and when they listen to the past teachings, they don't go to the first 200 or whatever. They're interested in past 30, 40 teachings because this is where they can relate to, where they can see they can elevate themselves to the next step.
Maybe we should have a YouTube channel just dedicated to soul teaching.
We do on Monday afternoons. We have a soul teaching.
Private.
No, it's public. From 4 o'clock Central European time on a public channel. No, One Nation, One Planet on Tuesday is for Universal Council, but the soul teaching is on Monday afternoons.
But it's private.
4 o'clock. It's private. So you have to go become a student to get access to it.
Oh, I was a student. I was a student for a year, but I just couldn't keep up with all the teachings. You know, I'm 5 days at work. You know, I can barely keep up with this.
But you can listen afterwards. It's all recorded. The soul teachings are going on. They have a soul teaching classes. One of the people who started it and is heading, has been initiator of it, part of it, and she's there, is one of the motions. She is there and she still teaches. She's taken realm on that side, and she's what do you call it, member of the Universal Council, supporter of the Universal Council, and the new generation of the Keshe Foundation coming in, when I speak to them, they say, we know there's a Gans, whatever, but we want to be elevated in our soul. We want to understand the work of the soul. We have clergy. Pardon?
Probably it's just to absorb the energies from the universe to get fame, and just
they understand. They understand the soul. Most probably they've been educated outside, but they could not see how they switch. Many of the highly educated people are in that position that they don't see any salvation in physicality. They start looking into the soul, understanding it, and now coming to the foundation, they find a switch. They know they can extend to what they had. The Keshe Foundation supporters of 10, 15 years ago, past 4 or 5 years, are still entangling with the soul, making a Maghreb system, whatever. The new generation are not. They're not interested. Because when I talk to some of them, they say we want to understand that through it we can control the physicality, not go through the physicality as we've been up to now to come to the soul. So it is a pattern setting up. So what your son will be interested to make ganses, maybe if he wants to have a physicality, but if he's learned how to reach and he can do whatever, it goes his way.
Mhm.
This is a very exciting time for Keshe Foundation and humanity. You will see.
Yeah, you really. Also, if you are at peace, you know, when you're really at peace, and then you can learn, you know, and you can extend your soul, you know, and just go with the flow.
Yeah, but the thing is, you got to understand there is a certain amount of it. I get very stressed. It gets me frustrated when I see stupidity. I have no tolerance for it. But what can you do? These people are still entangled in the framework, and it's the job and what we are doing, what is coming up. We have developed a technology that we can clean up the cities from all this smog. You know, all this dirt you see in the skies. We have a technology, it's fully proven that we can clean all the cities from all the smog, and so many people's life can be saved. But you try to get the government to do it, or we have to do it, and when it's not there, then you can see it. It's the governments, the governors who have to create the condition. Doesn't need wealth in his understanding. Yeah. Anyway, nice to speak to you. Give my best regards when you go and see the guards of the Queen in the Edinburgh Castle, and try to see if you can make them
I'll
laugh.
try to do that. Yeah. Well, I'm been testing. I'm trying everything, and I've been testing and then playing around, you know, since 6 years, like probably. I just wanted to ask you about the field spaceship. If
We're giving you a lot of time, and there are other people asking questions.
yeah, of course. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. All my best to Scotland.
We had a really nice chat. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and thank you, Arthur, for your interchange there. And we have a few people waiting and some other questions. Thought maybe Ivan could go first. He's had his hand up for a while. And there was a question from Brett and from Mark, who
which Brett and which Mark?
Okay, there's Brett Headley, who had a question in the Q&A, and he may want to ask that directly.
Which Mark?
And Mark Anderson, he had a question also in the Q&A that he might want to ask directly.
It's regarding which let's see. Do we have any other new people who have anything to ask on any other channel? This keeps the people who work around to cause problem busy.
Let me see here. Well, we haven't heard from Ivan for a bit, so maybe he kind of qualifies, but trying to see if we have
Have you noticed we haven't had anything from Azan, and she's been all the time? I think she's fallen asleep. Let me explain something. This is because we announced it. It's an announcement, what we're looking for. It's not an announcement, but it's a pleasure to me. We are looking for elite plasma physicists to join our work. We are looking for elite world physicists. We have set up a structure for world scientists on a plasma technology. You have to be a plasma physicist, and this is one of the preconditions, like where we have the agriculture, you have to be in that game, or where we teach on Wednesday afternoon doctors, medicine. You have to be a plasma physicist. People who work in the world of quantum physics, plasma physics, dynamic plasmas. We are training a large number of these scientists in the next step of the plasma technology. These teachings are done solely by me. I train them till the next step they can take over. And if you have plasma physicists, or in that direction. We already have a group. This group will be around about 300, 350 in the coming weeks. And then we're expanding. We're looking for international plasma physicists. You have to be at least qualification in plasma physics, in masters or PhDs or what they call professors in that direction, and you'll be guided through the appropriate channels to join the teachings. And whatever you learn is belongs to humanity, and whatever you participate or bring into your universities or work environment, it'll be shared across the what do you call it, platform. The structure for this has been set. The plasma physicist will be given a base structure. It's already been set up, and we invite world physicists, plasma physicists, and what they call a quantum physicist, which is exactly the same word for plasma in another way, to join us. If you know anyone or you know anywhere, we invite them, or they can invite themselves, or you can tell them about it. That we work as a world plasma scientists as one group to be set in that direction. So if you are in that game or in understanding of the plasma and you have certifications to show it, that there's a reason we are doing it this way, because the high-level plasma physicists already connected to government this way. We share the knowledge of space technology, defense, and what we call communications through this technology across, that the knowledge shares with all the scientists simultaneously across the world.
Mr. Kesh, what day, do you have a day and time that you can announce about that, or?
Teachings has already started. I have started with the, actually, you know, like the way you and I started with the chats, and then we ended up with a few lessons, and then we ended up with these knowledge seekers.
Mm-hmm.
We have started this with the Iranian physicists in past 2 months. Meeting is once a month, and the Iranian plasma physicists elites and other nations, we meet again tonight. And then we gather together in a conference very soon. And we already have another organizations which we have seen they're bringing their scientists. They have about 1,000 plasma physicists. We're taking some 200-300 from them to join us in this development from one nation and the other. So
it'd be a Thursday PM kind of Central European time?
Yeah, at the moment is we had two sessions, one with the Iranians, one with the other groups, and now we're merging all together as elite scientists in plasma physics. And the teaching is open to all the governments, and anybody can join. But you have to be qualified scientists. It's not somebody who's just enthusiast.
Mm-hmm. And what is the contact?
That's through the webmaster. They know how to get us through the channels of the webmaster. We operate that way.
Okay, just webmaster at cashfoundation.org.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a microphone open. Oh, Stanley, briefly.
He was going to give us the web page or web link. Am I correct?
Did you want to say something there, Stanley?
Email administration@cashfoundation.org is much better.
Administration@cashfoundation.org.
Yes.
Okay.
The master is overloaded.
Okay, thank you very much. At cashfoundation.org.
Cashfoundation.org. Okay, very good.
We trained. We had a teaching for the agriculturists. We had a teaching for the doctors. Now the next step, which is the plasma physics, understanding of the universal plasma condition and bringing their benefit to humanity. Now we start teaching to the elite scientists.
Now, Mr. Kesh, would these people, these candidates have to already know about the plasma technology
They
specifically.
have to have a degree. They have
No,
to have
I mean the Keshe Foundation type.
They already do.
Teaching.
They already do, yes. So most of them do, or they come in, they understand, then they can take and join, or other physicists will give them, or they communicate to bring them up to scratch, as we say.
Okay.
We have a facility, hopefully in the coming time, for about 2,000 plasma physicists to work together. And this section of the thing it'll be headed by one of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers who's a plasma physicist. He's already accepted the position, so we already set the structure around it to become. Any other question?
Okay. Well, we had a question. We had a couple of questions here. Let me just get them lined up. What about Mark's question? Maybe that would be appropriate. About, he says, will the religious leaders try and put crown as Messiah on you, and how will you divert them from trying to save their religions?
Pardon?
I thought Mark should ask that question directly. So can you ask that, Mark? Would you like to do that?
Yes. Just the idea that the religious leaders will try to co-opt it in the beginning. I'm sure they'll collapse when they realize that, but to try to put a crown on you as the Messiah they predicted coming. And I know you've said you're a prophet, you're a scientist, you're a Messiah, and so on. And how will you divert them from saving their own businesses or religions?
There is no saving. It's just matter of, no, it's just matter of elevating. Many religious people, priests or mullahs or rabbis, are highly elevated in their souls. It's just that finding the path to the next step. And title doesn't count. You're all messiahs. This is part of the structure of understanding that we have collectively, and the more and more people understand it, there to set the point to change. We've seen many people come around the foundation, and after a while they disappear because they don't see, or they do not get to the point that they thought they might get to be something somewhere, and after a while they see the burden is too high. Many people have tried to be there resolutely trying to do something, and then after a few months or a couple of years, it's too much. To have a desire to achieve and share knowledge and peace and be so solid on it is the wish of every man, but committing yourself to it is totally different ball game. Different ball game. Then doesn't matter whatever they call you. When you see the life of one of the most beautiful people like Nelson Mandela, he was committed into to equality and the freedom, and you stand for it. Doesn't matter what. You have to understand everything has a price and everything has a condition, and sometimes you do it doggedly till you get to the next step, and sometimes you set the conditions, and that's where you want to get. In the coming weeks you will understand what I'm talking about, in a very short time. 2019 is the change of humanity and the acceptance of the technology by world leaders. And we see it coming up, it's already planned to be. And we'll see the sharing of the knowledge. World leaders shoulder to shoulder with Keshe Foundation top elite scientists, sharing knowledge freely, understanding there is no borders, color, race or religion. And the openness to be able to give a hand for them to come to the same level. This is the change. We're going through a very harsh time. We've been through a harsh time, but it had to go through that way, because otherwise it would have been a lot of what we call skirmishes and running from one to another. Now a year of solid work has brought us to a very solid base. We started to govern, and soon you will understand. We govern through knowledge, we govern through peace, we govern through sharing a technology. Not by skirmishes and what we saw happening in, what do you call it, bunch of thieves in Belgium and the rest of it. Keshe Foundation has reached the point of governing through technology, sharing through technology with governments. One of the biggest contracts through Keshe Foundation technology has been signed in Europe in past few weeks. You will understand, you will see it. And it's done on the title of the Keshe Foundation technology. We as all of us has kept the technology to that level. Now we have to show the way. What I said to the management and the heads of the Keshe Foundation, we've gone through the rough time. We had to go through rough time. For us, in a way, it was a gift to jump to the next level. What with the jump we done in past year, it would have taken us, if we would have gone the pathway, maybe another 30, 40 years. Your giving, your souls, your energies have brought that change so much forward. Where we sit as the Keshe Foundation, I was hoping in 10 years, 20 years. But this year we are there. At this moment, the top people in Keshe Foundation are all over doing their jobs. And most of them, they don't know each other, because we structured this with that nobody can touch them anymore. But structure is set. We had to show we are correct in our conduct. And it doesn't matter what they call you. It's irrelevant. We will see those who try to create the names and whatever. Governments don't listen. They see the data, they understand. Those tactics of everybody being terrorist and he's a fraud is gone. How can you have a multi-billion technology and you're giving it free, and they made you fraud for 12,000 that they threaten people to kill? People are laughing at Belgium. It's become a laughing stock. Just they were trying to steal the technology. Now the governments open their eyes. And the response will teach. You will not see Belgium in any international conferences. They've been boycotted right across. You will see gradually no Belgium scientists will be allowed in any international conferences. Anything which is to do with science and technology, anything to do will be boycotted. And you will see it in the coming conference in the next few months. You will never see a Belgium. This is what they did to themselves. We didn't do it. They thought they were very clever what they did. Now the governments are aware. They became aware of the assassinating scientists. Now they don't want their scientists. You don't let the murderers come amongst you. Finished. They done themselves. That's the worst thing these people did to themselves. That's why we keep quiet. You will not see Belgians in any international conferences in coming time. Because we know they go to find them scientists and then they murder them. Why should we? We takes a nation a lot of things to nourish their scientists, and now there's enough proof that they killed so many. So what do I do any talking anymore? They're done, they're blacklisted. And because of it, the European nations are paying. European nations have realized what has happened. They're isolating. You will understand very soon. The structure has changed because the peaceful nation, the sharing of the knowledge, the openness of all of you coming and sharing knowledge. Nobody does what you do. Last week, the guy's got half an hour now, explains the knowledge, what he understands. Doesn't matter right or wrong, we cannot judge it. There is no peer review. We have to respect it. And it's the same across. So by sharing it, we have brought balance. We are all the same. If I'm a Messiah, so you are, because you're all part of the Keshe Foundation. You have created that condition. The peacefulness, the sharing of the knowledge. And this is the beauty of it. And we will see the results of all these, what they call stupidity. We'll show you how beautifully you can work positive. Why do you waste your time? But when we do, we prove, they understand, then they take action. I don't need to do anything. They tell us what they're going to do with those people. Doesn't matter. We are safe, we are home, we are working, we're sharing. Look at it. We have Rick from Canada. Just look at the list of people who are sitting in this chat room. And you show me every week we have from every nation on this planet. Just open your list, and if you can see what I see, Canada, Nigeria, Armenia, United States, Iran, China, Austria, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Polish, every language. We're all there, Italians, Spanish, and we all come here to share knowledge and equality. When you look at what I see on the board members of the Universal Council, core members, and the Earth Council members, is unique. No organization does this. Every week, it's not one conference we go there. Huh? Each one of us help. The one who has a financial capability supported the Keshe Foundation to give it, the one who can do with webmastering, everybody else, the one who can do the teaching, the one who can do the Wikipedia and everything else, is a collective effort of humanity for change. And nobody allows talks to come in, and the world leaders have a start understanding. It's not me. When they call me a Messiah, it's all of us. We have created that condition. So that we is gradually becoming 7 billion.
Thank you kindly. And thank you for freeing the scientific community on this planet.
We're all part of it. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And perhaps we can hear from Ivan and any others that need to be heard from here.
Hi, Mr. Keshe.
Hello, good morning. Where are you from?
From Bulgaria, Ivan.
Yes, I know, but you have to tell us where you come from.
I know,
We have another guy sitting in Scotland, and he says no, he's from somewhere else.
Doesn't matter, I speak English.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, last week, I was discussing something with you, and you bring very interesting points that we have to look in the totality. And I was looking at the totality, and I realized that last time I was really wrong because I went in the wrong direction. So this time,
Good morning.
I want to describe the whole picture And
No.
let's look
If
in
if you listen, if you're enlightened, you haven't made a mistake. You have elevated your knowledge. Yeah, and that's all it matters.
I understand, but this opens some questions,
Yeah.
and I wish just to put it here because it's like a teaching, and some people
Yeah.
can be also benefited to open their understanding a little bit. So let's look into things. I will just put some numbers on it because I'm a mathematical person. I like to describe my understanding with numbers so you can follow up my logic. So
Yeah.
if we look in the central array, which is the magnetic ray in the center of the antimatter, this
We
ray,
don't have antimatter.
okay, the thing that you explained that were the most strongest magnetic
The
gravitation.
principle. The principle.
Yeah, the
center.
principle,
Yeah.
the center, yeah. The ray is the most strongest one in the one that we call plasma or magnetic gravitational field together. So let's say that this ray in the middle have the straight of 1000. And let's look in the principle of our galaxy to be the sun, which we also can understand that the sun can be also like a proton in another system or an electron if we scale it up. So if the sun is with a straight of 1000, then we understand that the Earth would stay within the plasma of the sun, and the Earth is going to be in an area where, let's say, the central magnetic gravitational field of the Earth or the principle is going to be, let's say, 100. I'm just putting the number.
No. Stop.
Okay,
Nope.
where I'm wrong?
No, you haven't gone wrong. Let's put the knowledge in the correct way.
Okay.
So if the center of the sun it has 1000,
Yeah.
the center of the earth still have 1000. But the earth to be where it is, it shows its power of 100. What you show, it does not mean what you have. If the earth didn't have the strength of 1000, it would have never been in existence in parallel with the sun. But what levels of it, it shows for its manifestation. And that's what it is. Copper is 60, whatever. Hydrogen is 1. But both they manifest themselves, but both have the power of 1000 in the center of them. Otherwise, they cannot exist in dimension of the sun and the earth.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a big difference.
Because in the way that you're describing this in the book is opening of the plasma where the weaker field, they are getting together and they're positioning in respect to the center.
Yeah.
So
yes.
if the center is 1000, then the weaker field that is like you describe it in A4. Let's see that the weaker field is going to be 800. Is going to be in respect to the center.
Yes. So they manifest themselves in that level. But to be manifested in this universe, this planet, this solar system, you have to have the center common denominator, which is what everybody else has. Otherwise, you can't manifest you, so you don't belong to it. You understand? So it's different between the manifestation, what you manifest yourself to be, to show, and what you have inside.
But
if you think of,
I'm getting your point, but then I just cannot understand. So if the Earth also is in 1000, then why is keeping the distance from the sun? Why then?
because it allows its surface. The soul of the man in the center is 1000, but otherwise it can't manifest in this dimension. You have to, in the mathematics, you call common denominator of a strength of the fields, huh?
Yeah.
So we can only be part of, or be existing to be part of, if we have whatever they have. You cannot become a doctor if you don't have an education in medicine.
Wow, this is
understand? It's the same. If you look at the way I draw a plasma with a tight circle and it opens up, huh? And I put copper there and a zinc further in and a hydrogen on top. But if you look at it, that hydrogen cannot be there if it didn't have a center field of 1,000 in the middle, had it? But it manifests itself at a weaker strength and we call it a hydrogen.
This manifestation is a little bit not so clear. In the way that you put in the book, in the way that a mathematical person, yeah.
In the book is exactly the same. The weaker get together, yeah? But to become manifested, they have to make the center of the 1,000 that it can be in that environment. They carry the weakest on the magnetical, but the strongest in gravitational, which sits in the center, that holds everything together, if you understand. Yep. That's why I told you last week to go and think.
I was thinking the thing I cannot get my head around it because I was thinking that it's positioning in magnetic gravitational field straight.
Like now get your soul around it. If you get your soul around it, you will understand.
And something was not adding up with this whole traveling, but in
does it add up now?
In your way to explain the things, it makes sense.
Okay, thank you very much.
In
Any
that
other
relation,
question?
I'm sorry, can I ask another question in relation to that? This is Krasimir again from Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So if in the center we have the common denominator, like the Earth has the common denominator with the Sun, but it manifests in a lower strength, does our soul have the common denominator with the Earth or with the Sun or with the higher entity we just manifest?
It will be the same.
With the creator, it will be the same. We cannot be created in the dimension of creator if we don't have it inside us.
Okay, so it applies for all of the universal community as well.
Yes.
And that's how we can get in touch with them.
Yes. You see, let me explain to you something you understand, make it much easier. You've seen our dearest friend Peter in Austria. He showed us 2 or 3 years ago that by playing with the fields he can create matter. But you have to understand the strength of the knowledge behind it. We take copper, we make a GaNs of it, and we put 2 coppers in 2 balls, and the way we position them and the way we interact them, it gives us gold. You understand? Or it gives us zinc or magnesium. In essence, that field interaction is the principal common denominator, that it has to be there. It's the nut, is the central gravitational field forces. If you can rephrase it in the world of science, we as entities, to exist, we need to have a point that we can relate to. And that comes from the only way we can relate to anything is because it can exist, it can hold on to. So it's the highest level of gravitational field and the lowest strength in gravitational field at the point of manifestation. At the point where you can take in balance with what you can give, it gives you the point of manifestation. That's where you manifest yourself. If you take so much from the environment that what you give gives you the energy equal to balance of copper, then you're copper. If what you take from the environment and what you give is the equal balance of energy of hydrogen, you manifest yourself hydrogen. It's like the color. How do you become green or whatever is not needed, it becomes color of manifestation. But in the world of plasma, we go by the strength of the fields. What we can take and what we can. At the point of the balance of the gravitational magnetic field, in the interaction with the field state of the matter, we create the surface of the Earth. Till that point, There is nothing. It's just what is trying to find out its dimensions. And then when that balance point is reached, you get the surface of the planet. And then when the gravitational field holds on, but the magnetic field through the inertia expands further, you get the atmosphere. Earth doesn't just, you don't have just the hills and the mountains. All the hills, all the mountains, the way they manifest themselves is the interaction of the fields of gravitational field center point with its magnetical field and the condition of the inertia of the matter state. When they interact, you get the surface. Why don't suddenly somewhere everything is not 20,000 kilometers high or 20,000 kilometers low in the sea? Why do we have the point of manifestation, mountains and hills? Why most of the planets or stars, whatever, we don't have hills and mountains in the stars, but we have hills and mountains on the planets? Because the energy transfer is too rapid at a higher level, point of manifestation. It doesn't allow to become solid, to manifest itself in a solid state of matter. It's a plasma state of matter. In the surface of the sun, we have the plasmatic field from the center with the plasmatic field of the plasma of the matter state, which creates light and is so shining. If you put solid state on it like Earth, it doesn't shine anymore that way, does it? On Earth is reverse. Or any solid state planet. And if you go beyond the understanding of the transmission of the fields, which have no dimension to manifestation, you understand the creation of the universe. And where this interaction takes place, you call it galaxies, and when it changes to manifestation to show the turbulence of the fields of the universe. That's where the galaxies are created. And again, in the center, you have that common denominator field that allows them to manifest themselves in the matter and say, oh, in that planet there's a copper. But we have a copper here too. And if all of them have a common denominator of 1,000, so we have to have a relationship. We have the confirmation of existence at that level. It's very simple. Now you're becoming more knowledgeable. Now you're getting more in the depth of the knowledge, and that's beautiful.
Excuse me, Mr. Kesh, we have one of the earlier videos that from 2016, which is a animation of the magnetical gravitational fields, and we have a question from yeah, and
I remember that.
The rotating fields. I could play it. I'd like to play it. Marius has a question about it. He says, according to the new understanding, he seems to think it needs to be updated, and he's asking anyone, but they can't confirm or deny, so they suggested to ask Mr. Kesh. So perhaps you could review the video and sort of comment on it.
You see, there is something I have to clarify for a lot of you to understand. When we speak about the weakest field, we are talking about the magnetical weakest field, not the gravitational. And when the weakest field come together, it's like a banana, huh? The peel does not say what the strength of the energy is inside it as a banana. Always compare it to a banana in teaching. I think this is where your comprehension has to increase, or to comprehend, is that when we speak about the weakest field, we're talking about the weakest in manifestation, which is the magnetical. And we understand. Let me just close this one that I can see. You see, this is the interaction of the field. If you look at it, the fields, they create the condition and positioning of themselves according to the totality of gravitational and magnetical. The position is that everything carries inside. The banana is always a banana inside when you open it. The outside, the color can be yellow, can be green, can be black. It's the same if you look at it. When you peel the banana, doesn't matter what the skin, you look for what is inside, which is the gravitational. That's where all the energy is kept. And you've got to understand this animation has been made by the knowledge seekers.
So would you say it's generally correct as you just saw it there?
It is correct, but you have to understand what you're looking at. This is the problem. How you interpret the image.
Well,
You see,
go ahead, sorry.
The image is very correct, but you have to understand what you're looking at. If you have, you see the one you're just showing, it just stop it if you can freeze it. You see, if you can freeze that picture in the color, if you look at some of your lines double are the same, some of them are single going the opposite. One red and a gray is going the same way, and then you have the others. This is a true picture of a plasma. Plasma is not one field. And in the condition of the other fields, if you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9 arrows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you look, we go from inside 1, outside 9. 8 and 9 are going the same direction, but there are two different strengths. If you look at the 7 is still gray, but it's going the opposite direction. But 6 is still red, going in the same direction as the 7, but their position is all dependent on number 9 and number 1, how they react in respect to each other, that they give them which one. And somewhere, number 6 and 7 will change direction because of the field forces, what it gets absorbed from the environment, forces the change. Or it adds to them. So now they gain a new value. We see this in nuclear, what they call it, testing of the plasmas. You people see it who run the dynamic system, that the saturation, the motor stops suddenly. And then you think, I burned the motor. How many of you had that? And then you leave it after a while, it works, because the fields inside the layer of gases have created field forces that are stronger than a motor. If you can run a motor which is running at 6 watts, 7 watts energy, so you have to understand how much energy is created inside the ball that it can stop 6 and 7. Which means it has created a balanced position, doesn't see any field forces to move. When you have multi-cores, you see it very, very clearly. We used to have 3 cores inside each other. Now, a simpler way, you have 3 different ganses, and you see it. In one of the books we show, the ganses don't mix, they get separated. Even they have some moving inside each other due to the gravitational magnetic field interaction. It's beautiful, simple understanding by such a gorgeous scientist like Newton. But he explained it in a matter state. But if you translate the the same thing into the plasma, then it still holds, but in a different field strength, not forces. There's a big difference.
Mr. Kesh, perhaps Marius could ask his, or see why he doesn't have the same understanding, or seems to think it needs to be corrected somehow. And maybe we can find out what his objection is to it. Marius, would you like to speak there?
Sure. Hello, everybody. In my opinion, the magnetical lines are represented correctly, but the gravitational ones, the ones in red, I think the same direction, because now they're
You see, there is why this picture looks to me correct, or it's near enough we can get it visually, is that if you look at the, let's say, number 6 and 7 and 8 ring, these are magnetical. But number 3, 4 and 5 are gravitational in respect to 6 and 7 and 8. You understand? But when you come to ring number 3 and 4, this is the magnetical manifestation of the fields. But number 1 and 2 and 3 are still gravitational to number 3 and 4. You understand? So this is a schematic, this is the picture, but in fact, what is at the outside, number 1 and 2, if you look at it, these are the gravitational for number 1 and 6 and 7. But 1 and 2, that own themselves because they manifest themselves, are magnetical of the manifestation of themselves.
probably I did not understand the video correctly.
No, it's not understanding, it's interpretation. We always understand everything. We are clever people, we are humans.
All right. And for this part, I can see this as a spinning reactor with the Gans ball, or as the planet Earth, for example. So if I think of planet Earth, I see the gravitational outside to this ring part and the magnetical inside.
Can you repeat that, please?
So we see the circle as there. Can Rick, can please stop at the end of the video where we have the circle? Right here. So I see the red area as the magnetic, and the blue part where it is the atmosphere, I see it as the gravitational.
Yes, you see, that magnetical to you is a gravitational to the other layers of the atmosphere. The atmosphere doesn't have a line. Why do we have winds? Why do we create matter state motion, what we call winds? Because as the fields move away, according to their strength, they interact with the other fields, and their interaction creates what you like to call winds when they change into the matter state. So what you call a magnetical, to what range is magnetical, then this magnetical becomes gravitational part of another further up in the cycle. You understand? Because the absorption is part of it, because now it was giving, but it still has to hold on to the guys down there, which was gravitational before. How can it link up? So it has to give to take. It's a man in the middle with the arms on both sides. This is what, if you go back in all my drawings, when we taught in that sections, if you look at it, we always draw it like this, haven't we?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so look where it is, because we draw the other way with it, huh? That we do this. Can you see this? Yeah. So
Yes.
we go in, huh? We always draw it. When we draw one line, is the balance manifestation between the two. We draw it in a different color. We call it one. We manifest it as one line. Yeah.
Yes.
So the presentation, the visual presentation, should not be the create a misunderstanding. We always have the same, but you see these as rings, but rings have a connection with the next one. And you see how the rings sit each other. The magnetical of the one becomes the gravitational of the other. This is the problem with the science up to now. We always considered one or the other, but we have to learn now that both counts.
Yeah, yes, of course. But sometimes one manifests itself more powerful than the other.
Yeah. If it's more powerful than the other, we call it a black hole. If the other one is powerful than the other, we call it the sun. But in essence, in the center, they are the same. It's the same copper. When you open its expanse, it becomes nano-coated. You call it a nano-coating and it's black. You take it out, you have the sun. You put it back out, you have the black hole. You lot create black hole better than anybody else. And then you release it, becomes a star. You call it a gas. So simple.
Yes, my whole thoughts and ideas were related to the latest teachings about the maggrav, and you said that the magnetical is inside and the gravitational is outside, and I tried to.
Yeah, that is the case for maggrav systems, which we develop it especially for that. Which is the nano layer coating, which absorbs everything in and is black. You see, you have to understand what the teaching is about in which part. You understand? And this is what is important. Which part and what you're applying it for, and what are the conditions of. That teaching was especially for maggrav systems where you need to absorb energy. How can you create a generator power unit if you don't absorb energy from the environment? And the only way you can absorb energy from the environment.
Mr. Cash?
Hello? Hello, Mr. Cash.
Yeah.
We lost you. Oh, did you finish what you're saying there? That I thought you were going to say the only way we can absorb the energy from the environment, and then we couldn't hear after that.
Is when you are gravitational, when you can pull it in. So in a maggrav system, we put the gravitational outside to be able to absorb the energy from the environment, that we can feed it to the magnetical, which is the feeder into your system. Horses for courses.
Yes, correct. And my mistake maybe here is because I made a general rule for every.
No. The maggrav system, especially I explained this to Alex as well. This you have to understand how do, because we can dictate by winding or by the position to create magnetical or gravitational. You make your winding in a way to be gravitational outside. You have to pull to be able to keep. Why some of the maggrav systems don't work? Because the winding is the opposite way, and it's been understood to do it that way, and the people do it. How can you give away when you're trying to absorb to use? This is why some of the, or most of the maggrav systems never work properly, because the winding is wrong. The coating is wrong. You want to absorb, but when you absorb gathering in, you have a center in it. When you absorb, it goes in the center. Let me explain to you this way, maybe. Can I take over, please, Rick? I'll take the whiteboard. You see, in your system, in your hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, of course. I hear you.
Okay. You see, this is your coil. Yeah. You're one of your coils. Then you have another coil inside it. Yeah. You have another coil inside this coil. You connect this as your gravitational. You connect this as your magnetical. You have already given away. How do you expect to collect? You have to collect that. In collecting, this being a center, you feed it, you compress it, and this becomes the escape route. Then this becomes your magnetical. Then some of the people, they do it this way, but they put a material as a GANS here, which is actually blocking anything to go in. So they drain their own magnetical to their own system. The choice of GANS coating is important, especially in Alex beads. That's why Alex has found the secret to do it, and when he makes a unit, it works. And everybody says, oh, we done this, we done, because from the first day when he explained it, it was clear he has understood the totality of the knowledge. We have another person like him in China. He has understood these people. Sometimes they don't understand what they understood, but when you look at the depth of the knowledge, when you look at the way they do their things automatically, naturally, it means they have understood fully. But Alex could interpret it, could understand and explain it. And has made a system which shows it, but a lot of people don't understand. You just get a thing running. But when you look, when Alex makes beats, even the way his fingers move, I watched him when he does it. The rotation, everything he has calculated it now is second nature to him. You have to understand, when you create, what you make, what mixture to make, everything counts. It's the same as what we saw in that dynamic circles, the fields rotating. If you get, you can, you do.
It's very clear to me now. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
You're welcome. You had this, you decide, sometimes in the spaceship systems, you have to change your magnetical to gravitational, but still keep a common denominator of the fields that you can still hold the manifestation of physicality. We do it in our body. We run layers and layers of operation of the same thing. One we call the skin, the other one we call a stomach, the other one we call a heart. Each one works for itself. If you translate the body of the man to a plasma, you got the right lung or you got the left lung. It's just because of the interaction of the fields where it should be. In physics, we call it up quark, down quark, whatever you call it. You call the stomach kryptons and you call the other ones, that you give it a name, but it's in physicality the same thing. The guy spends all his time going to CERN to spend millions of dollars to look at it. It's right in front of you. Because the field of the soul of the man has manifested itself in physicality. How ignorant the scientists are. You have your own body which is created of the fields, and then you try to go and see there is an up quark, down quark at the speed of what? And then you still make a lot of fantasy and mistakes about it. There it is. You change all the fancy names they make for the plasma and they spend billions on it to your stomach, your kidney and everything. It's the same. Nothing has changed. You have to understand the essence of the knowledge. Then you are enlightened, not the dimension of physicality of it by name. Any other question? It's good to have these question times sometimes, huh? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes, but any other question? Have we lost Rick by any chance in the background?
Maybe. I see one hand up. Onder Sarikurt. Maybe it's time to ask the question now.
Where is Rick? Has he dropped off?
He's still on the list, but I don't know why he can't respond. Maybe he needed some private time.
It's unusual for him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's lost his microphone. Okay, what's the question?
There's a question on YouTube a little while ago concerning your initial conversation.
Who's speaking?
This is Flint.
Ah, Flint from Canada, United States.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said, may the seeds sown by Mr. Cash germinate in hearts of all men and unite the earth. Please teach us how to release the bird without any fear. You were talking about the bird.
Can you repeat?
He's asking, please teach us how to release the bird without any fear. How does one gain this knowledge and retain it?
It's very much is in the strength of the soul of the man. Then you have to work through the soul to strengthen, to give confidence to the soul of physicality that I'm there, I'm not running away. And it's the balance of the totality, which we have to understand. The biggest problem that we have, especially with tying up the work of the soul of the man with religions, they have created so much fear in us that we need to be punished, and there is something good or there's always something bad, that we have passed the point of trust in our own soul. And this is what part of these teachings are. Part of the process of growth of humanity is to gain trust back in his soul. I created you. Why are you afraid of me who have created you? That you can let me free, or I am free, but I'm here to look after you. If you go back to a lot of my teachings in medical, I always said the physicality is a leech on the soul of the man. Is a sucker to it, and because it sucks so much from it, has created that point of we cannot fly. When you put a 10-kilo weight to the leg of a bird, how do you expect it to fly? That's what the man has done with the physicality of it. We cage the animal to enjoy the beauty of it. We can still leave it free, but teach him, I enjoy you to be here, I feed you, it comes back. The whole thing has been inbred in us with the fear. And this is where the change has to come. Any other question?
Sorry, my microphone wasn't able to unmute here because of I couldn't get my mouse to work in Zoom. I had to restart. Let me see. I'm just looking here now. What do we have left over?
Good morning, Mr. Kesh.
There's a voice for you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, where are you? Planet Earth?
Planet Earth, not Planet Zeus yet. Good morning. A question. How can we reduce that pulling down on our soul? I think that's more where people are trying to find the solutions for it. They're supporting themselves already with the Gans waters and with what knowledge you have brought so far. But how can we reduce that pulling on that soul? Can you be more specific, please?
What do you mean?
You just explained that the soul cannot let go or is not free because you have put a weight on it on the bottom. It's like you put a 10-kilo weight on the leg of a bird. How do you want it to fly? So how can we deal with your knowledge in the understanding to, if you want to put it as a weight that is weighing or holding us down, how can we, can you explain how to do this? That we can release that weight on our soul?
You need to understand. There are two ways to do it. Actually, the best way is done universally. Is that you elevate your soul so much that the weight becomes irrelevant. That weight become part of yourself, then become independent. Very much like a new entity. And the process is very simple. You reach the point, or you can reach the point of creating a turmoil of fields of the soul of the man, with turmoil not as bad, but what I call, let's say, motion, more than a turmoil, that allows the soul of the man to receive, that it does not depend on the physicality to receive. The physicality of the man, the soul of the physicality of man has leached so much on the soul of the man that he has literally handcuffed him to itself. It's like, you know, you have these octopus with these sockets on them. It sucks itself, it will attach to itself. And so it cannot free it, it cannot desuck it. Unless when it dies, it loses its angle and it leaves. But if you can understand, or you understood the teaching of the past, if you can absorb enough energy from the universal dimension that this leech becomes part of you, then you go beyond this boundary of existence, because this leech has created a boundary for containing the strength of the soul of the man, with the skull, with the skin of the man. And little bit which comes radius, we call it aura, whatever. So if you can understand the ways, one of the first questions today, if you understood what the question was, that he can see the waves and the rays, that how now I use this to absorb, to feed my soul without using the physicality to feed it, to create conditional existence, then it becomes so minute that the physicality becomes part of the totality of the existence. The strength of the soul goes beyond rapidly of the physicality. This is what I said, when the soul of physicality become part of the soul of the man, inside it, like an electron inside a neutron. But still is a neutron, but electron is there. And when it's needed, it releases the electron, it becomes a atom, confirm its existence as an entity of mutual respect, we call it. So man has to learn, do I need the eyes to absorb it? Or can I understand what my soul needs, that through itself feeds itself, that the physicality become part of the totality of its existence? So now you become a small piece as a part of physicality, and the soul can take its dimension. The problem with man is he thinks the physicality is all this, the strength, the length of the arms and the legs of the body. No, body, the soul can bring the soul of the physicality, all of it in one atom, in a plasma condition. And then when it releases it, it takes the shape and dimension of this environment. Buddha understood this. He was one of the only ones who understood this, because he did not go on the path of what do you call it, Abrahism. He went through the path of understanding the soul. What Abrahism, Christianity, and the rest work through the fear, not through understanding of the work of the soul. Buddha is the only one who understood, nearly touched the surface of understanding that. He went, and that's why we don't see dogmatism and the fear we see in Abrahism in Middle East. Slavery through the soul, where if you look, understood the true work of Buddha is this, is salvation through understanding the work of the soul. And that's the difference. One works out of fear, and works out of, and that's why a lot of Buddhists, a lot of monks and them, they can reach the state of the enlightenment. When you see many monks reach that stage, because it's the teaching of the soul, it's the teaching of understanding the essence of creation, and he understood that. How many times you heard priests or rabbis or whatever have enlightened the way the monks do? It's not a fairy tale, it's they understood the essence of the creation, where Abrahism understood fear by the punishment of the physicality. That's the problem. So you can elevate your soul, and then the physicality becomes part of it significant.
I do understand, Mr. Kesh. But now if you look how and the position.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question? Everybody else comes and introduce themselves. Who are you?
I am Carolina Kesh, Universal Council member, Nederlandstalige language, Dutch speaking language. And I'm your wife. And I enjoy the way you are working. I support you 100% in what you do. I admire you for what you are delivering to humanity.
Ask your
You
question.
have, I am still introducing myself, Mr. Kesh, as you
That's
asked.
enough. That's enough.
It's the truth, it's the correct way because you elevate people when they come around you. People change. They understand because they connect through the soul of understanding, not necessarily straight way to the path of the physicality. But that's where my question comes. When you put and look at the position of the monks, which are reaching those enlightenments, which we have seen a lot of examples of it, we know they're there. But now look at the majority of the humanity functioning on this planet. It doesn't matter where you go, there is a drive of surviving. They have to provide the means to make ends meet. We have the responsibilities of the structures in each part of this world, which is different. Some have in a different way, some have it in another way. But still, nobody can just walk away from those which is as an imprisonment because you have to you are burning so much energy to apply to that surviving.
You see, there is a very big problem in what I call you anchor and something else is anchored to you, and then you have another anchor which is anchored to the anchor. We might get elevated to our existence, to the dimension of the soul, but the problem is we have a wife, we have children, we have a mother, we have brothers, which we are attached to through the emotion of the physicality. And as we have not elevated ourselves, all of us, in that dimension, we still keep, and it's a hold on us to keep us in physicality. We see a change in one family, and it's very interesting. I've been monitoring this family. If you look at Azar and her brother and the family, they are going through that process as a family. So that detachment and understanding is coming through right through the family. If you look at individuals that are still want to, but I have a mother, I haven't brought my mother to understand the new understanding. If you look at like what do you call Stanley and Ella as a couple, they have achieved that as that point. We start seeing groups, families, that the totality is moving, and then the attachment to physicality, which is our loved ones, become less and less, and we can move to the next step, to the next point of maturity. And this is the problem. In subconscious, we still want to have that physicality. We have a number of groups, small groups getting established like this. Families, couples, friends, who what is important to them is part of them is the same school of thoughts and feeling and understanding of the soul. We have one in China. The families in the cells are start moving, and so if I go, my child, my mother, my husband, my wife is with me, so I'm complete. The rest will be looked after. So I spend my time in serving and helping and teaching. We start seeing clusters, it's building up. So part of the attachment we don't let go, that weight, is the souls we haven't taught our children, our parents, because when they see the beauty, they move with you. We see a cluster in Dr. Rodrigo's family. They because they all understand, they've seen the beauty of it, they start moving slowly. And then we get clusters like this, because it's not just me. My son knows, my child knows, my wife knows, my husband knows, my parents. So we are, and then the elevation comes through the whole structure. This is part of the change, this is part of the growth. And now we can pinpoint groups, families. We have 2 or 3 in Belgium. They've been there from the beginning. We have groups, clusters in Holland. 2 or 3 family to me is important, for me, my wife, my child, and whatever. And they move with it. Does not matter what other consequences are. And they are moving very, we see it in Germany, we see it in Austria, where there are clusters that the whole family is moving. So what is important to me is with me, so I can carry on. And then that brings the elevation of the soul of totality. And then we see the next step. We see it in Iran, there are clusters. We see it in China, there are clusters. So we have moved from individuals to small groups, which is mainly what we care physically about, our loved ones. What do we do when we say, have I looked after the family? Is my child going to be safe if I die? Now, these families have started sharing the knowledge of the soul, so we are all moving together. So there is nobody's getting left behind. Those are important to us, are moving on. And then they see the beauty of it, the change of it, and then we see gradually clusters into cities and nations. It has started. Those individual knowledge seekers, they have seen so much and they've taught so much. Now they've brought the immediate loved ones, which matters to them, are part of understanding the elevation of the soul of totality. We see that clearly with Aza's family. We see it clearly with Dr. Rodriguez. We see it with Klaus in Austria. We can mention families and names now. These are little tribes which start seeding. And the people who are of the same school of thought which matters, they become attached to, they become clusters. It starts growing. We have the same in Tehran. We have here in China. And it just started. It started with singles, now it's grown into the families, and then we see the next structures coming up. Takes time. It's the trust in the soul of the man. And then as we gain trust, we gain from our loved ones, we give confidence, have we done this, we do this, and then we grow. We grow in what do you call it? It took years to make the first 20, 30 knowledge seekers. It became much easier after 5 years. Now we speak to millions. And now those million individuals have to bring the loved ones. And many loved ones don't want to go because they are afraid, as somebody just said. We are afraid I cannot speak, they think I'm outside, that there is something wrong with me. But this comes, and it'll change. In the coming weeks and months, we'll see the change. It's getting structured. We are trying to get ready for it. And I always warn you, weeks and months in advance. We are in that process. We are in that process of governments taking the step because it's for the nationals. And when we take that kind of steps and we become in the dimension of internationally understood, then the rest will follow. World leaders are looking for this salvation, that they can give confidence to the nationals. And when you give confidence to national, it shows the strength of your leadership. If you can, as leaders, bring balance in the social structure and the soul of your citizens, you have reached the position of serving your nation. You deserve to be a leader. We see that with President Xi of China, 100%. We see that with Putin. We see that with Ayatollah Rouhani of Iran. We see that with 2 European leaderships. We see it in America and South America. It needs maturity of time and comes from out of strength, confidence, and not dependence. When you have wealth, you can spend, and that spending brings comfort for your citizens. You can give them money that they don't have to go hungry. But you cannot borrow to pay comfort because you put them in more debt, but you bring it with a structure that is solid investments. I admire the work of the Chinese leadership because the wealth is spread across the nation. And now that the wealth is made, it's getting shared accordingly, that everything is balanced. You travel the length and breadth of China, from the smallest city in the north to the smallest city in the south, from the west to east. They're all developed. The time of all these huge escalators building is finished. Everything is the same standard. I've traveled the nation. This comes from understanding. Now the next step is we build the nation, now we bring comfort for the nation. We bring security for the nation. And we see the same thing in Russia. Why do we get to these positions? Because the leaders of the nation work with the soul of their citizens. But sometimes structure takes to build. We need to build. It's not easy. When I was in Iran, I explained to the office of the presidents and the government, why did I leave Iran when I was young? Because we had to wait 20 years to get to university. We didn't have enough universities. Doesn't matter who was in power, where the money came. The nation was on the move, but we didn't have enough universities. Why do you have so many highly educated Iranians across this planet? Because we are highly intellectual and highly dependent on our emotion of serving our nation. We went out to get educated to come back in to build the nation. We didn't have enough universities. We had to sit test, exam after exam to get into university, 1 seat. We went out to get educated. Now look at the Iran. 4 million university, just the chairs. You try to build 4 million chairs in Iran university. Every person can walk in and has. European stole from nations. Iran made it on the back of his nation. You go to London University, it came by the slavery and stealing from Africa. Can you close that microphone, please? People have to understand leadership and the just leadership. There's going to be abuses in every nation. Even when Keshe Foundation becomes one nation, you think those who are hierarchy will not do stupid things? They will do. It's part of the nature of the man. When we say nothing happens, we are ignorant to the reality. This is what I'll tell you. We start governing because we start understanding and informing the leaders how it is, what it is, and why we support them in that position. And we throw the technology at them like sweet, that they can see it, they can taste it, they can smell it, they can see what it brings for the nation. This is what it comes. Now we become clusters of knowledge seekers. We were individuals. Now I told my family, my wife, now the wife has seen it, she uses it in the kitchen. Now my son has shown it and enjoys something else with it. Now the soul of the family comes together. Then becomes the neighbors. Now when you connect through one, you become one. But the beauty of this technology is spread across this planet in one go. This teaching today, every person across the world, how many nations we cover. If we can go and tell people when they read sentence where you read it, we cover every nation, every city, there is some knowledge seeker somewhere. And we are proud to be because we can do something with it. We start governing through the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man. But through love, kindness and sharing, and not through the fear. That's the difference. So when we see that now, when I can receive energy at the way that my soul can encompass my physicality, because I have my brother, my child, my wife, which feeds me the same, then I can feed them. Then we absorb what we need. The atmosphere of the home changes. The intellect changes. The correctness of the contact changes. Everything has to be correct. Then you become Zoroastrians. And then you see the understanding of totality. Did we have to come to complete the cycle of Zoroastrian? It started with no punishment in Zoroastrian religion or belief. And now we are coming back to Iran, back to the root of it. And then we understand the civilization. The whole structure is the man to elevate himself. It's not necessarily to get out of this planet or go to Mars or Jupiter and become into space. It's to elevate his own soul that has the giving by kindness to his physicality, that he creates a point of comfort for his physicality. When the world leaders understand this and they see the abundance of the knowledge shared, the the the, the care for the soul of the man, then they will go back to it. When you become detached, it does not matter whatever it is, what happens is part of the process. It has to happen because it needs to be there. But we accept it, we live with it, we make it as part of the history of the life. But what do we do with it? How do we understand the next step of it? What is the elevation of our soul? Are we still getting more in case of someone that we don't have? Or do we give so much that we don't care? It comes when it's needed. I don't need it. When I need it, it's there. And if it doesn't happen when I think it should be there, there is a reason for it. And you don't need to look back. When I stopped my business world, which I came to serve as a Keshe Foundation, I left millions of dollars of diamonds with people around the world. I never gone back to them to ask for it back. It was my hobby. It is something which I enjoyed, but to me has no meaning, because if I go back to it, I go back to the term of physicality. But I live the life it is, but I don't go hungry. There's always something which comes, is needed. The physical tangibility has no meaning. But to me, when I see Giovanni gets Naomi back out of an accident, and I see her drinking with her, and I see him home with her, I say it was worth living to save one such beautiful girl. And many, many. You think people listen to part of a rubbish from bunch of terrorists and pedophiles? No. In past few months I have realized they're gone, they're washed. Now they stand their own condition. The best thing out of stupidity was releasing my books, which I wanted to do from the beginning freely. I opened my patents freely, and thinking that very clever, Mr. Dirk releases my books free. That was the best thing could happen. My knowledge became what I wanted. Out of their own enemies of us have served us. You want my books, you can pay for it, and they block my books in the printers. But they themselves have given it free, my knowledge. How many of you have downloaded my books and learned from it and you're here? I didn't get damaged. The act of, they thought damage was serving us. But it served us better. They wrote the book and they published the book, they freed the book. So I was just transferring the knowledge. Nobody has served the spread of the knowledge, free books on the internet, than the guy who thought he was doing something to damage. He served us. He's a servant to us. He's a slave to the foundation. He spends day and night to find a way to justify, but in a way he does serving. Let them do more. In writing more rubbish, the government wanted to look how the guy is here, he gives everything to us, and they put him for what? And then they start looking. Why? Because they're trying to trap the in technology that doesn't come anywhere. Now we isolate them. You watch, you won't see any Belgian scientists out of Belgian borders. No international conferences. Governments have moved on it. They realized, and they've done it to themselves. Why? But they saved us. With doing it, people came to look why the guy's teaching so freely everything, and he's a fraud and a criminal. Doesn't set up, doesn't match. I used the GANs, I saved my child. I used the GANs, I did something else. But it was a base to break the rules of the past, the kingdoms. Who set this all up? A king. So the thief by nature. Now people see this stuff. Nobody has served us better than Dirk. By letting the books free in different name, in the name of a woman, which is his behaviors. And then look how many of you have downloaded it free. We gave the patents, we opened the patents, all of you do. Why? You read, some of you did understand, some of you tried, some of the world scientists went to it, some people used it, understood what it means, the implication of it. So what? The more we serve, the more servants come to serve the foundation. And you've seen it. Nobody has served the foundation better than this. It's trust in the ability to share knowledge and elevation of the soul, which gives us the strength. So how do you want to open the shackles? You and I got beaten up in Belgium, we got poisoned in Italy by the same. And look where we are. The more they pushed us, the more we spread. When they came, I was on the phone when I could hear them beating Carmel. 7 men and 1 woman go to a house to beat a woman to kill. That's the justice of Belgian government. I could hear her. She was crying, "Meran, they're in there beating me." I could not get home. We packed. We left the country. to Italy, and look what is done. The whole world got the benefit of it in a much better. This served us. This served the foundation. And now we see. When they poisoned my son in teaching, I was teaching like now. My son was with me, teaching the children, and he said, Papa, there's something wrong. I cannot, I'm going dizzy, something wrong with my stomach. They put poison on his toy. 6-year-old child. You don't do that with your enemy. That's the justice of Belgium's king. Killing a child, trying to kill a child. Poisoned by cyanide. Arsenic. I watched my wife twice dying with no heartbeat, poisoned by Belgians in Italy. Doctors didn't know where to go. I crawled on my hands and knees from pain, and they watched the poison. That's Belgians. A king, so-called, and Mr. Dirk. Now, we don't take revenge. We open, they see, they isolate. A worm, a parasite gets isolated. Now it starts. You watch. But it's to benefit of us. In that process, they served us. All of us. How many of you have downloaded the book and you came to understand it because you came across it? Millions of you. We are detached from physicality, but we have to live a physical life. And the more they do, the more they serve us, and with that serving us elevates us to serve you better. We share freely. Today's knowledge, if you understand what was shared, it's the key to universal community opening. I said in the teaching, we'll open something if it comes, and it came. But if you understood what it came, what was released. The shackle on the physicality is the lack of strength in the soul of the man in trusting that physicality will come with it, because he loves it so much. So he has to embrace it, and then it becomes a light. Any other question? Shall we call it a day?
I'm wondering if we have a presentation about the plasma times. Is that going to still happen today, or will that be next week?
Are we ready?
Yes, we are.
Okay, please go ahead.
1 second. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
And is the sound okay?
Yes, you sound good, Ella.
Okay, thank you. So, we are at the 10th edition of KF Plasma Times, the April 2019 edition, and we will just go right into it. We had in in March, on 21st of March, the celebration of the Iranian New Year. So we have written an article regarding the Nowruz, and we hope that you will read about the traditions and maybe get yourself ready for next year to celebrate together once again the 2020 New Year. From the workshops, we have extracted few articles, and we chose a few of the topics that sparked the curiosity. One of the topics is about the universe, which is actually not cooling down. There is a misconception in the cosmology and in the present physics, and Mr. Kesh is explaining to us that actually this is not what is happening in the universe. Then we go to an article about carbon-14. Carbon-14 teachings are spanning across many hours of teachings. Therefore, we have structured them in multiple chapters, let's call it. So in this KF Plasma Times, you will find chapters that are referring to carbon-14, but it has different applications, different topics described. So the first article for this edition is Carbon-14, the pathway, the free engine, and free energy resource for the structure. The next article is regarding the agriculture template letter that the Universal Council prepared for anyone who would like to spread the knowledge, to spread the information about the achievements from Keshe Foundation, and putting in contact the officials from their nations with the Keshe Foundation to proceed with improving the nation, improving everyone's country. Another topic very interesting that Mr. Kesh described to us was about the images of sound. And we invite you to read to find about what it is. The second carbon-14 article for this edition is regarding the plasmatic calculus and the highway to travel in the universe. And further we go looking more into the black holes. If you remember, in a previous edition, we had Mr. Keshe's paper, Mr. Keshe's article, which described the creation of black holes. And in the following teachings, in the past teachings, Mr. Keshe also described to us more in detail about how the black holes operate, what we can benefit out of their energy, let's call, or the plasma fields. So one of the applications is in space during travel, we can utilize the black holes to actually feed ourselves. So to feed the soul of the man, or even the physicality of the man if it's necessary. The third article regarding carbon-14 in this edition is the key to the creation of bus stop portals on the superhighway of the universe. And additionally, we have in the Plasma 101 category the explanation regarding neutron, proton, and electron from a plasma perspective, which is different than what we have learned in physics, and it gives us a better understanding about the basics of plasma overall. We are now at the end of the first trimester of 2019 for the KFSI education. Our education team is sending you a kind message. And of course, we invite you, those that are not students yet, to apply. And during this break period, you can have time to catch up with the lessons that were taught during the trimester. So the recordings would be available for any private student. In the product range, we have the Plasma Neck Pad, and it is from the pain relief range of products. The Plasma Neck Pad is actually a CE certified medical device class 1 product, and it can alleviate the neck pain, shoulder pain, and any kind of discomfort you have from maybe sitting too long at the computer or driving for a very long time, or simply you have your muscles stiff at the neck. So you can try the product and please let us know how it worked for you. We are waiting for your testimonial. In the language community, we have the beginning of the Farsi teachings, and our core team of Farsi language, Azar, Sharzad, Hassan, and Parviz, have given their feedback on the current developments in Farsi community. From the Plasma Scientific Journal, we have 2 entries. One entry is in the GANS and Nano category, and it regards a study which observed unusual interactions over physical matter through the magnetic plasmatic fields of iron. And it's a very fun experiment. If you want to try it and let us know what did you achieve, it would be great. The second scientific article, we received a submission on the health category, and it is about plasma to the rescue, the thyroid nodules application. Please be sure to read the disclaimer of the article. Together with testimonials, we have received a very nice feedback regarding the application in pisciculture. I think that's how it's pronounced. Maybe you guys can help me. And it actually regards the growth, nurturing of fishes in various ponds. In this case, it was natural pond. And it actually helped saving many of the little fishes that were attacked by a very rude parasite, let's call it. So please read the testimonial and you'll find out more details. In the period of break for education, we are looking for more hosts for the private teachings. So if you have 1 hour a week that you can spare for you to be present in our teachings and to host the session, to perform all the hosting activities that a host can do, then please apply, send us an email at education@kfsci.org, and you are more than welcome to help us. And of course, the same email address, or actually you can send this email address any kind of questions that you have, even questions for the public workshops. If you can't be present physically in the workshop, you can be online at that time. You can simply submit us the questions and we will address them to Mr. Cash for you to receive the answer when you will listen to the recording. Also, you have the information how you can submit the Plasma Scientific Journal articles, and you have the support from the Cash Foundation on structuring the paper to look as professional as possible, with all the details for all the other knowledge seekers to be able to reproduce the experiment also on their side. And last but not least, we have Mr. Cash's books. All 3 books are currently available on Amazon. So you can purchase all 3 books at once. The delivery is instant from Amazon. It's delivered on Kindle. And you can read it from any device, electronic device you have, in any place you may be located. So it's a good opportunity to go through the books even more than once it's needed. And that's about it for this month. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ella. So that link will be on the Keshe Foundation main website probably in the next couple of days. Is that correct?
Yes, we still need to go through some parts, some verifications.
Right. Okay, great.
Very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other news? Anything else, or should we call it a day? You're nearly 4 hours.
Yes, we're almost up to 4 hours here. So there was a couple of people that had hands up earlier. I'm not sure if they still needed to say anything, but I think we're pretty much done with questions for today. You can carry your questions on till next week. That'd be okay.
Yep.
Is there any other announcements?
Not really, I don't think so.
Let me see. What do we? Don't we have the testimonials, public testimonials meeting coming up next on Monday? Is that correct? Somebody confirm that for me.
Usually the
Yes.
second Monday in the month.
Yeah, Monday the 8th.
Okay, well, that's the next public program for us.
8 p.m. Central European Time on this channel.
Okay, but there are also some public teachings which are ongoing in various languages, actually, and I think we have 6 or 7 languages that are public broadcasting, and you can see the various playlists in the YouTube channel of the Keshe Foundation. Or if you like to make a request for your language or like to host one of the language workshops, you could also contact through the previous email. I think that would be an okay way. Okay, wrap it up for today then. Thank you everybody for attending the 270th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, April 4th, 2019. And special thanks once again to Mr. Keshe for delivering the teaching today without notes, I will mention. And we look forward to more next time around. Okay, thank you, Flint, for being a co-host today as well. And thank you for taking us out here. And bye, everyone, until next time around.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.